This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world. You're listening to Place to Be Nation's Main Event, a roundtable experience looking at today's pro wrestling landscape. And now, here's your host, Scott Criscolo.
Place to be Nacion, like my Spanglish. Welcome to your home for everything modern day wrestling all over the globe. Place to be Nation's Main Event. I'm your co-host, Scott Criscolo. Big weekend in front of us for indeed the first pay-per-view, WWE pay-per-view of 2018 is upon us, and that, of course, is New Year's Revolution. No, I'm only kidding. It is, of course, the Royal Rumble live from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, where your humble correspondent will be this weekend, along with some other members of Place to Be Nation, including my PIC, Mr. Azzaro will be with us, Mr. D'Amato, and a few other gents will be joining us in Philly. So that is a big yeoman's hunk of our discussion this evening. We will, in this segment, well, before we do that, why don't I bring in my co-host, who was on Raw Monday night with his hot wife talking to Mark Henry, at least in Roger Morissette's world, the Godfather, Nate Milton.
What is going on, brother? It is great to be back. This is a special week. I think this is the 15th anniversary of the first time that I decided to get on a podcast. That doesn't work. Hold on, let's try something else. This is the 13th anniversary of how many podcasts I've recorded this year. No, it's not quite it either. How does Michael Cole do it every week? Comes up with the perfect description of Raw.
Oh, my God. I know, right? Oh, my God. I feel like we... and more's going to come from us. You and I will be starting to go weekly a little bit. We'll get more into that at the end of the program, but...
Yes, we will.
This is episode 93, and that is correct. I had Greeny look it up, so I didn't blow it again. Episode 93 of the main event, and I honestly can't think. Maybe on the Facebook page, or when this on our YouTube page, you can comment under this episode. If anybody could think of any NFL linemen, great NFL linemen that were 93, because I can. Well, tell me if I'm wrong, Nate, but didn't Rodman wear 93 with the Lakers? No, that was 73. Maybe Metta World Peace wore 90. No, maybe not. I think it was 73. Rodman wore with the Lakers.
I think we might have a future Hall of Famer that wore 93 in the NFL. That I just I cheated. I had to look it up.
Oh, wait a minute. I know one. Richard Seymour? I think Richard Seymour wore 90, or maybe he wore 90. Roger could tell me because obviously he played for the Patriots, so he knows all of his. Or Senior could tell me all the Pats guys. But who we talking about here, Brother Nate?
The great Dwight Freeney.
Oh, Dwight Freeney. Yes. He wore 93. I think everywhere, right? Obviously, Freeney most of his career, of course, with the Colts. I'm pretty sure he wore 93 there. Obviously, he was in Arizona for a little bit. He's bounced around. And then he went to the Saints, I think.
Yeah, I consider Freeney a borderline Hall of Famer.
I think so. Probably one of the best linemen of the last 10 years, probably. Easily anchoring that Colts defense. Maybe actually probably longer than 10 years because he was on the team in 06, I think, that won the Super Bowl. So, all right, so the Dwight Freeney episode, I like that. I have a few 94s. I have a big 94 in 2 weeks. I have a 94 jersey in my closet. So... I know who I'll be doing in 2 weeks. But anyway, Brother Nate, always a pleasure, my friend. You have a hot wife, by the way. And, I know you were trying to dangle her in front of Mark Henry on Monday night, but no, I'm only kidding. It's the other guys.
I've got thoughts about Monday night, brother.
Oh, I know we do. That's one of our obviously, it's one of our topics this evening. Roger Morissette thinks you were on Raw Monday night, but, that's another story for another day. Of course, we will, for those that don't know, one of our past Halloween specials, when Brother Nate first joined us here at Place to Be Nation, Roger, the cowboy, thought you were the actual Godfather, and that That was great. We should have let you roll with it for like another year. But
between Roger and there was a time back in 2013 where I went to Canada and sat in the TSN studios with the Law guys back when the Law actually was a thing and not just a promotional vehicle for TNA.
Yeah.
And one of the callers called in, and he kept asking. He's like, "So, what was it like? What's Steve Brown like? And how did you feel being there with the Ultimate Warrior?" And it took me a while to realize that this. Like at first, I thought this guy was kidding. Like, no, this dude actually thinks that I am Charles Wright, aka Papa Shango, aka the Godfather, aka Kama, the Ultimate Fighting Machine. And I was like, no, sir, I do not own a strip club as much as that would be a boyhood dream come true.
I know, yeah. Making big money. And you can tell by the Godfather's wife that she was probably a former coworker. Anyway, yes, we are going to talk. We'll obviously talk about the big show Sunday and get our thoughts on our previews for that. And we will preview, of course, Saturday night's NXT Takeover. We got 5. We'll start with that. We have 5 matches, 3 of them title matches. We are going to talk about Monday night and what happened Monday night on Raw from the centers, Barclays and Manhattan. Some people were upset. I've got opinions about that some people may not agree with, but, you know. And, of course, the big thing, we obviously have to talk about the roster situation that happened. Let's talk about that first, Brother Nate. I'm curious your thoughts on this. Of course, the big story. And do I feel vindicated? To a certain extent, because as everyone knows, that knows me very well, I have despised this guy from the minute he was in the company. So to me, this is poetic justice, and I'm glad it happened. It couldn't happen to a nicer guy, in my opinion. But as everyone knows, Cruiserweight champion Enzo Amore was released yesterday, or on Tuesday, due to a situation involving allegations of apparently rape at a hotel in Phoenix back in October. And we're not going to get into the details of actually what happened, because I don't want to really dig up that slop. But the reason he was fired or released from WWE on Tuesday had nothing to do with, well, how do I word this? It wasn't the specific act itself, because, I mean, yes. WWE has taken care of guys who have, dipped the wick in the wrong wax pot, or whatever the heck the term is. The problem is Enzo kept it to himself. The WWE knew nothing about this until Monday. This happened in October.
Yeah.
And WWE didn't know about it till Monday, which is why he was not on Raw. Apparently, he was supposed to be in a big, I don't know if it was at the Manhattan Center or whatever, but he was supposed to be on Raw, and he was going to get put over by Goldust. And obviously, he was facing Cedric Sunday for the Cruiserweight belt. And I think, honestly, on a side, before we get to the legal part of it, I thought that Cedric was winning Sunday anyway. So if that match was going to happen Sunday, I think he was going to lose regardless. So that was my it wasn't a big deal to me in that aspect. But WWE, obviously, you tell your employer when you screwed up or when something happened, dude. It's pretty cut and dry. That happens in all walks of life, not just wrestling. Knowing him, he probably didn't want to tell them because he would have had to go off TV, kind of like Lawler did in '94.
Yeah.
With the whole, when he was accused of raping that 6-year-old or whatever the fuck that disgusting mess was. I think she was 17 or 16 or something like that. In any event, he was cleared and he was back on TV. I guarantee you he didn't want to drop the belt. I think that's how shallow and dumb he is. I don't think he wanted to drop the Cruiserweight belt, so he hid it. It may sound petty, but that's what it sounds like but that's him. What do you think, Brother Nate? What are your thoughts on this whole situation in general? But that's my take on why I think he didn't tell WWE, because I don't think that he wanted to be stripped of the belt and have to sit out of TV.
Yeah, I got a couple of thoughts. Like, I think first and foremost, you're right in the assumption or the deduction that the reason he let go was more so with how he handled it rather than the actual allegation itself. I think that had he told them that he had gotten some trouble and this was coming down the pike, he probably would have been suspended. but he wouldn't have been fired, in my opinion. I also think that this is one of those cases where I don't want to see people praising the WWE too much. This might be a weird take, but I don't want to see the people praising the WWE too much because I've seen a lot of tweets and a lot of comments on Facebook and other forms of social media where a lot of fans are like, "Man, this is why the WWE is great because they don't take stuff like this and they don't like stuff like this in their corporation. These indie promotions should take note of that." And I'm like, well, if this was done altruistically or if this is done because they truly don't want people like this in their locker rooms, that's one thing. But this is a business move, plain and simple. They don't, especially now in an era where women who have been victimized are speaking up and they're speaking loud. This is not something that you want to be on the wrong side of, And so we've seen people with much larger profiles in other industries and people with much more credibility than Enzo get taken out. And so it didn't surprise me that he lost his job. I think this is something that's going to be like, this isn't the end of it. This to me is kind of the tip of the iceberg, the canary in the coal mine, whatever cliche you want to use. This is just the tipping point because, we heard about the stuff with Michael Elgin and, some of these other accusations going on in the industry. And I think, the quote unquote Me Too movement, it's not restricted to politics or entertainment or, the news industry. Like, wrestling is going to, have a comeuppance. It's going to have that come to Jesus moment, if you will, Scotty. And I think Enzo is one of is just kind of one of the victims of that. No, he's not a victim, especially if he did this. But he is one of the people who will be punished for what he did.
Oh, there's no doubt. I think he's going to be. I don't know. I think it happened, and I think he's being locked up. Again, I'm being subjective because I can't stand the guy, but something just tells me that.
I'm thinking, like you said, even if it didn't happen to the extent that the accuser is saying, you still, as a professional, that's part of the job title, professional wrestler. Like, you owe it to your employer to, pull somebody aside and say, hey, I might have gotten into some trouble, this is coming, and what do we need to do? How do I handle this as a responsible adult? And he did not do that.
No, he didn't. And so he deserves, in that instance, he deserves what he got, and he deserves to be in the pokey. So we'll see what happens from this point forward with that. I don't want to talk more about that. We got more fun. We got other great stuff to discuss. Let's talk about Monday, which of course was Raw 25, which took place at both the Manhattan Center in Manhattan, and at Barclays Center in Brooklyn. Let's talk about content first, and then we'll get into the logistics, because obviously there have been a lot of complaints about the logistics situation. Content-wise, yes. I thought it was fine. I thought it was a fun show. I thought there was a lot of fun moments. I know a lot of people were wanting more nostalgia, but you have to remember, this is the go-home Raw for this weekend, and you couldn't just eschew all of the new stuff to do 3 hours of nostalgia, and then all of a sudden we just walk into Monday or walk into Sunday. So in that aspect, I was fine with it. I was fine with a little bit of. A lot of people were like, "Well, why did Steve Austin come out first?" And everything. Well, because they wanted to do the whole, they wanted the current product storyline stuff to end the show with Braun and all that. So, because I was assuming Steve was going to come out between the 9 into the 10 o'clock hour, because that seems to be their sweet spot on these 3 hours. I thought the DX reunion was cool. I thought the whole, Too Sweet Click thing was cool. Seeing all the guys backstage playing poker kind of reminded me of one of those WrestleMania celebrity segments, where we get to see all the guys we don't see anymore, and they always show up at WrestleMania, and that's pretty cool. It did give me an idea, though, this is creatively, that I think every year, whatever Raw is closest to January 11th, they should do Raw from the Manhattan Center every year as like a special anniversary episode. Whatever Raw is closest to, because January 11th obviously was the first one, January 11th, 1993. I think whatever Raw scheduled that year is closest to January 11th, they should do Raw from the Manhattan Center. I think WWE could eat the purchase, the loss they'll take from having a place that, has probably 16,000 less seats. Not that Raw sells out anyway. So, it's, I think they should get over themselves in that aspect. But I thought it was fun. I thought it was a nice, entertaining show. I got out of it what I thought. I'll get into the logistics thing in a minute because obviously a lot of people were pissed off at the Manhattan Center. We'll get to that in a second. Creatively, Nate, and content-wise, what were your thoughts?
It's kind of fitting that this episode, at least a portion of it, took place from the Barclays Center because the first performer to open up the Barclays Center, I believe, is none other than Jay-Z.
Yes, he did. There's a banner hanging there.
This episode kind of reminded me of the Jay-Z R. Kelly album, Best of Both Worlds. And what I mean by that is that's a record that I had a lot of anticipation for leading up to it back in the day. And when the product was finally finished and delivered to the public, it was uneven. It was sloppy at times, but there were a couple of really great songs on it. And so overall, the project wasn't what I expected or what I had hoped for, but there were some fun moments to be had with it. And so that's kind of how I felt about Raw 25. Like, I had higher expectations for what we ultimately got, but there were some cool moments. The Stone Cold intro with Vince and Shane, the DX reunion, just the atmosphere and having JR and the King in the Manhattan Center, even trying to recreate the old set down to the Ico Pro banners. And you had a fan in the crowd with a silk stocking sign, which just warmed my heart. But I think overall, like, there was a fundamental flaw creatively with this, and I think it's something that could have easily been fixed if maybe you move the date of the anniversary show and allow what we saw Monday to just be the go home for the Rumble. Because you're right, the ultimate purpose of this show is to get people to either purchase the network or if they're still buying traditional pay-per-views, to go out and call the cable company and buy the Royal Rumble on Sunday. And so while all of the Stardust stuff was well and good, at the end of the day, they had to do what is best for business, as your hero would say. So, yeah, I thought that it could have been better, and there were ways, I think, even set up as it was, that they could have done better. But for what it was, it was good. It wasn't great. There were times where I kind of shook my head at the use of some of the legends, particularly with the women, where basically we just got a roll call. You can come up with something more creative than that. You talk about that D'Lo Brown's, not the D'Lo Brown, the Mark Henry and Godfather segment. And I thought that could have been a cool space to kind of put, if you could get D'Lo, have D'Lo back there, and then have Ron Simmons, instead of, spending all night playing poker, have him do one segment with JBL, and maybe have him say, I got to go get a drink, and he walks out and, bam, bumps into, the nation. Mm-hmm. I think there's some cool things they could have done, but I give them the benefit of the doubt because, like you said, man, they tried to pack a lot of stuff into this episode, and maybe that was to the detriment of the overall product.
Possibly. And would you have gotten Wolfie D and, what's his name, JD Ice, or what the hell's the other asshole?
Wolfie D. There's always room for Wolfie D.
That's what I thought, exactly. Yeah, again, because it was the go home Raw leading into this weekend, it's difficult to say, all right, we'll just do 3 hours of nostalgia. You can't do that. Not this. Maybe another random Raw like in the spring or whatever when these do the old schools. Where they would do, but this night you had to put over the Raw end of the show because of the Rumble, because you have to.
It's really good, because you know how we always kind of get every year. We kind of get those doldrums where we're past Mania, but we're not quite to SummerSlam.
Yes, absolutely.
Why not stick it in that spot? And
right.
Have something really cool. Say like May. In May, we're gonna have the 25th anniversary of Raw, and all your favorites are gonna be back, and really build up to that show instead of trying to. I don't want to go as far as to say shoehorn, but they certainly tried to stuff a lot of things into a 3-hour block.
Yeah, they did. No, I agree. Now, obviously, the other big thing that came out at the end of the show was a lot of the people that were on the Manhattan Center end felt like they got stiffed. They did get a Bray Wyatt broken mat match or woken mat match. They did get Taker, and then they did get the DX and the Click and the club, the Balor Club, and a couple other things. But obviously not nearly as much as Barclays got. Barclays obviously got Stone Cold, but you got to put Stone Cold in the building that had the bigger crowd. You just have to. That's common sense. Now, I understand, and you may disagree with me on this, Nate, and some others may as well. I understand frustration. I wasn't there. I didn't pay. Some people paid almost $400 or whatever. But I've said for years, and I've always thought this when it comes to tickets to live stuff, regardless what it is, buyer beware. You know WWE, you know how they are. Sometimes they're going to reward you, and sometimes they're going to disappoint you. You take it whenever, whether it's a NFL game, the Super Bowl, a concert. You take a risk of the content when you buy the ticket.
Yep.
And I mean, look, I've seen Billy Joel, I don't know, 11 times. You know how many times he's played my actual favorite Billy song? Like 4. What am I going to do? Ask for my money back because the other 7 shows he didn't play my favorite song? No, you fucking suck it up and you move on.
Started chanting a refund right into the piano man.
Yeah, exactly, right? You just got to deal with it. Now, again, I didn't go, and people are telling me, well, fuck you, you didn't spend $400. Well, I know. But at the same time, come on, we're all adults here, and you know when you're paying that much, you're taking a risk. Of course, I got DX and the Click, so for me, it would have been money well spent. I had no problem with it. JR had a good thought on one of our chats. Mr. Rozzero had actually a pretty good idea. What they should have done is open the show and did the whole first hour from Manhattan Center. Do 8 to 9, everything there.
Yeah.
Then at 9 o'clock, do the next 2 hours from Barclays, and that's where you can do a big hunk of your current product stuff. I did like that Miz went across town. Miz, of course, won back his Intercontinental title from Roman Reigns, and then he went to the Manhattan Center with his belt. I thought that was pretty cool. Because for those that live in this part of the country, from Barclays to Manhattan Center is not ridiculous if the traffic's doable, because Brooklyn's on like the Manhattan end of Brooklyn. Where Barclays is, that neighborhood of Brooklyn is on the Manhattan end of the borough. Not like Coney. If they were like at Coney Island or over in like Bensonhurst, forget it. They never would have made it. But so it was pretty cool. What JR said was a good idea was they should have done the first full hour from the Manhattan Center. Done Taker, done everything there, and then at 9 o'clock, I guess they had big screens up to watch the Barclays Center stuff. What they should have done, they should have had a flat ticket price of like $100 or $125 maybe. Bring out some food, have like a buffet, make it like a convention, have the legends come out, sign autographs, treat it like a convention, like a con. Have matches in the ring if you want, and give the Manhattan Center people some fun for the rest of the night, and then have Raw up on the screens if you know. That's what they should have done. That might have been a good idea. Have a flat ticket price for the whole building, $1.25, $150. Have like a dinner thing, like a buffet out in the concession or whatever, or have like some kind of thing, food, and maybe I don't know about open bar. That could get ugly. But have like concessions. I mean, Nick Duke would have paid and flew up here and took it, but no. But have make it like a convention, make it like a fan fest almost. Make it like an access. That's the word I'm thinking of. Make it like WrestleMania access for a night. Do the first hour live from 8 to 9, and then do stuff around around the Manhattan Center. Get autographs and have the legends come out, do meet and greets and that kind of thing, and treat it like a fan fest afterwards. And have the 2 hours from Barclays up on the big screens. That might not have been a bad idea.
That's a really good idea.
So JR, I'm giving my PIC credit for that one because he came up with that idea on one of our chats. So I'm going to give him credit for that one. But I think that would have been a good idea. So, and I still think that they should do every year. But the problem is WWE doesn't think outside the box like this. They never do. Is every Raw that's the closest to January 11th they should do for the Manhattan Center. Once a year you could suck it up and eat some cash. You're not broke. All right? You're not fucking Impact, for Christ's sakes. All right? Please, get over yourself.
And it just makes the viewing experience as a somebody watching at home, it makes it more visually stimulating because while Raw, it varies in quality week to week, the one thing that never changes is how the show looks.
Right.
And after having it from the Manhattan Center and having the old school graphics and everything, it spiced it up a little bit.
Yeah, it did. It did. We had I think there was a Headlock for Hunger banner they found, and I think there was definitely an Ico Pro banner. So, which I think is funny now. But it would be cool seeing Roman Reigns in an Ico Pro t-shirt, but no. Anyway, Raw, it was a fun show. If you want to watch it a certain way, obviously it'll pop up. If you have Hulu, it's on Hulu. It'll be on the WWE Network probably in like a month, I think. I think they're like 5 episodes behind. And if you want to watch it in pieces, if you go to WWE's YouTube page, they have it cut into pieces if you want to watch just specific segments. So anyway, it was a fun show.
Yeah, and to be real quick on the Manhattan Center deal.
Yep.
Quick points. Point number 1, caveat emptor. So while I empathize with the good people that spent their hard-earned money, it's like like you said, you always know that when you purchase a live entertainment or sporting event, things can change, and things can't always go as planned. So that's one thing. The other thing is, there was a lot of talk going into this Raw about our favorite person, Terry Bollea.
Yep.
And I thought, and this might surprise some of the listeners, but I thought there was a cool way to kind of bring Hulk Hogan back into the fold while also showing love to this hardcore, because the people in Manhattan Center, they were either the hardcores or the hardcores, or they're people trying to show off. One of those two groups. And so here's a way to appease them, but also to kind of address the elephant in the room. I would have started the show not with The Undertaker. I would have saved The Undertaker for later on the show. I would have started the show with Hulk Hogan walking out to the Manhattan Center. Real American, got the red and yellow, all that good stuff, have King and JR hype it up, and right as Hogan's about to speak, from out of the back, "Oh, Brother Hogan, don't you dare be sour." And then do a cute little segment with Hulk and the New Day where, you don't have to talk about what he said, but, those guys are creative enough to find a way around it and have some fun with a bad situation.
And then you do that, and then you kind of forgive Hogan, or you let it, you bury the hatchet with it, and we can move on.
Exactly, because I think the longer they just kind of leave it out there, like it's one of those things that doesn't get fixed until you kind of like say, okay, yeah, this happened and it sucked, but family is family, and Hogan's part of the WWE family, and now we're better.
Right, exactly. I agree with you, Nate. I think that would have been actually damn hilarious, to be honest with you.
And it would have gotten over so big in that building particularly.
Oh, absolutely, because he was at Raw's in that building, obviously, leading up to WrestleMania 9. So he obviously, it wouldn't have been a far stretch. So, all right, let's look ahead to the weekend, and we have 2 huge shows. We'll begin with Saturday night, which I will be in the Wells Fargo Center for NXT Takeover Philadelphia. First visit for NXT in Philadelphia, because there was no NXT Takeover in 2015 before the Rumble when we were there last time. So we actually went to – that was actually 3 years ago this weekend, and that still might be the greatest live match I've ever watched was that weekend, but it was not WWE, although that weekend that Rumble, of course, had the Cena-Seth Brock match, which was tremendous. But the match that I enjoyed was – and half the guys in this match went through WWE. Some stayed, some didn't. But it was a Ring of Honor taping at the old ECW arena, and I've mentioned this match multiple times. It was a 6-man tag, and it was ACH, Cedric Alexander, and Matt Sydal taking on AJ and the Young Bucks. And to me, that's still the greatest live wrestling match I've ever watched in my life. It was on a taping in 2015. It was ended up making TV on ROH, and the match was outrageous, absolutely outrageous. And of course, obviously, AJ and Cedric are in the company now. Seidel was in the company. I think did ACH he wasn't in the Cruiserweight Classic. I thought he went to the Performance Center. Maybe he didn't. I thought maybe he did, but I might be wrong. And obviously, the Bucks, not yet anyway.
Yeah.
But they will. They may not want to admit it, but they will. I know some people in Place to Be Nation don't want to admit it, but you know that they will eventually. But in any event. All right, let's dive in. 5 matches Saturday night. All three NXT championships are on the line. We'll begin, though, with a match that I think actually could be a sleeper. Velveteen Dream, who put on a really great match at TakeOver Houston. TakeOver Houston, or TakeOver War Games, against Aleister Black. Takes on Cassius Ohno. I think Velveteen Dream wins. But I think this is going to be a good match. This might be a sleeper, I think. It's 2 different kinds of styles, Velveteen and Quickie, and Cassius a bigger guy. But I think Velveteen Dream wins this match, but this could be a sleeper of the night.
Yeah, I think it'll be a really fun match. And, even though they do have differing styles, Cassius is somebody that, those that know him from his time in ROH, like, dude can work with those quicker performers. And I think also the character work of both men should be fun. Like, I think these 2 guys in particular will find a way to have a technically sound match, but also a match that, is fun and kind of gets the crowd into it. I'm actually looking forward to it. So I think a year ago, this would have been probably Cassius, without a doubt, but coming off of those rave reviews from NXT War Games, I might have to give a slight nod to the Velveteen Dream here.
I think so, too. Yeah, I think his performance at War Games kind of, I think, applauds a victory here, because I could see him moving up the ladder in the company. The other non-title match on the card, and I think this one's going to be a war, Aleister Black taking on Adam Cole in an Extreme Rules match. This to me is one of those matches that the main roster is going to look at and be like, oh, shit. That's the one. Like, every NXT show has that one match that the main roster goes, oh, crap. Meaning, we're going to have to follow this tomorrow. This match, to me, is that. The other 3, the one we talked about, and the 3 title matches, excuse me, are going to be excellent. But this is the one that I think they're going to watch and go, oh, man, damn it. I'm going to go on a limb here, and I think this is where Aleister Black suffers his first loss. I think Adam Cole wins, because I think eventually Adam Cole's going to win the NXT title. So I think this is the big win for him. I think it's going to be a war, and I think this is where Aleister Black suffers his first loss. I like Adam Cole. What do you think? What do you think, brother?
That's a bold choice right there. That's a bold choice, and I'm sure those liquored up Philly fans, many of whom probably haven't stopped drinking since the football games this past weekend.
I know. Make sure not to wear any of my Cowboy stuff. So I want to come back Sunday night. So
I'll say you end up in an Extreme Rules match at home.
Yeah, run into the parking lot.
I like that call, but I think I'm going to play the safe right here. And say I'm going to go with, in the wise words of Wesley Snipes in Passenger 57, I always bet on black. I'm going to go with Aleister Black until I'm proven wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's going to be a great match. And, I mean, if Aleister Black wins, I think that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. I just think I have a feeling.
I don't think that loss would hurt Cole either.
No, and it wouldn't. I just have a feeling that because I'm making a pick later on that kind of correlates my pick here. So I think this is something that's going to catapult Adam Cole to future booking. So, and I don't think this hurts Aleister Black either. But I think this is where he suffers his first loss. I think it's going to be a great match, and I think it's going to be very, very brutal. I'm looking forward to the crowd vibe in the building that night, on Saturday night when this match is going on. So, all right, so we'll change a difference of opinion there. Good. All right, let's go to our 3 title matches. First, the NXT Tag Team titles are on the line. Your champions, Adam Cole's running buddies, Mr. Fish and Mr. O'Reilly, the Undisputed Era, taking on the former champions, not Hawk and not Animal, the authors of Pain. I'll let you go first on this one. I'm curious to hear your thoughts, and then I'm 50-50 on who I like here. So I'll let you go first. Who do you like here? What do you think? And I'll go from there. So what do you think? What do you think of this one?
Yeah, this might sound strange coming off of my pick for the last match, but I think the champs are going to retain, and that might seem counterintuitive, seeing how you were the one that said Cole's the guy that's going to be getting the big push, so it would make sense for his running buddies, if you will, to continue their dominance. But maybe this is just my personal, I don't want to say distaste, but my personal lack of enthusiasm for the Authors of Pain. They've gotten better, but they're still not my cup of tea. And I just like Fish and O'Reilly, and I would hate to see him. I would hate to see him lose the belts. Because I think, man, they're just getting into their groove right now.
Yeah, I think so too. I like Fish and O'Reilly to retain as well. Mostly because I think the tag division needs a bit of an injection in WWE, and I think Authors of Pain are due to come up. So I think you're going to see Fish and O'Reilly retain, because I think the big number one contender is going to be what's her name's Profit. Is that what they're called? I just blanked. What's the tag team? The Money tag team. I want to say Beer Money, but they're the greatest tag team. Half of Beer Money is in this company. The other half should be.
I kind of wish it was Beer Money. That'd be a fun little feud.
Damn right it would be. The heck are their names?
The
two guys from Long Beach.
It's like somebody's screaming at their
I know.
listening device right now.
I'm blanking. My bad. I want to say it's Profit. Something Profit. I don't know. I gotta look. Anyway, the Undisputed Era is gonna retain the titles. All right, let's go to the women's champion, the NXT Women's Championship match. Your champion is our girl Nate, the deliciously awesome Ember Moon, taking on Shayna Baszler, one of Ronda's girls. I think it's gonna be a very stiff match. I'm not sure how these two are gonna mesh. So I'm cautiously optimistic about this one, but I got an odd feeling this may not click. I think Ember's going to retain, but something tells me that this one may not click. I hope I'm wrong, because I'm going to be there and I don't want to get upset. No, I'm only kidding. But I paid for the ticket. No. I'm optimistic it's going to be a good match, but something tells me the chemistry may not be there. But I think Ember retains.
Yeah, I think I'm a fan of Shayna. Like I've loved her independent stuff, and I thought she was good in the Mae Young Classic, and she's been good so far. But I don't know how the styles will mesh. I think Ember will and should retain. But the thing that has me interested in this match, and it has me maybe even more intrigued than how they'll match up, is the finish. Because if you're going to do the Ronda Rousey thing the next night, then it would make sense that her people are kept strong. So I think you've got to find a way to have Ember retain, but also keep Shayna very strong. So I don't even know if this match gets a clean finish. Like I don't know if we get a DQ or something like that. Just because they wanted to keep Shayna as this badass, and if they're going to do the thing with Ronda Rousey and her 4 horsewomen versus Charlotte and her 4 horsewomen, then I think they won't want to kind of expose Shayna, quote unquote.
Right. I can see that happening. So this could end in kind of a schmaz. Not a total shock. I'm game for that. I might like the cut of your jibe there. I think we could see kind of a schmazzy mess at the end of that match. All right. And finally, our main event, the NXT Championship on the line. Your surprise champion, Mr. Andre Cien Almas, with Zelina, taking on Johnny Gargano. I'm 50-50 on this match for 2 reasons. Number one, I do think Adam Cole's eventually going to be NXT champion. I don't know if it's going to be after WrestleMania or at WrestleMania at NXT TakeOver New Orleans. Because that's when I decide. That's when I'm figuring out when Almas's run ends. So I'm not sure. And the other reason is, again, was Almas a transitional champion or not? If he is, then I think he loses here. If he's not, I could see this match ending in a shit show too. And then maybe something happens between now and Takeover New Orleans. So I'm gonna let you have this one first, Nate, because I got to think about it, because I'm not sure. I'm trying to think creatively where they're going with these guys. So I'm gonna let you bat first on this one. Okay. Almas and Johnny Wrestling.
All right, 2 points. First of all, the tag team we were looking for is the Street Profits.
Street Profits. All right, I got half the name right. All right, good. All right, Street Profits. There we go. The guys from Long Beach. Okay.
Yeah, but in terms of this match, man, I would love to see Gargano. I would love to see Gargano win. I think the crowd would love to see Gargano win. But if I'm looking at this from a storyline perspective, Scotty, I don't think the seeing almost Selena Vega story is quite to its conclusion. Like, I don't think it's time for them to be unseated yet.
Okay.
I've actually been impressed with Cien Almas. Like, he wasn't somebody I was ever high on, but I'd say, the last 3-4 months, like, I've been impressed by the dude. And maybe a lot of that has to do with me being a fan of Thea Trinidad. Zelina Vega used to be Rosita in TNA. Mm-hmm. I think she's been doing some good work. So I think for what NXT is and for who these characters are right now in the story, I think Almas is gonna retain. But man, like it sucks because it's like. For wrestling reasons, I think Gargano should win, but for story reasons, I don't see any point right now in taking the belt off Almas.
All right, so you think Almas is going to retain?
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna say Almas is going to retain as well, because I'm gonna go with the thinking that Gargano's going to win the title at Takeover New Orleans. I think they're going to have a rematch. I think Almas is going to cheat here, and I think he does retain. I think Gargano's going to get another title shot at New Orleans, and I think Johnny Wrestling wins there, because I think eventually he's going to drop it to Adam Cole. So that's my opinion. All right, so you kind of helped me there. Thank you, Nate. I'm glad I had you go first, because I was kind of stuck on that, and then you gave me Street Profits, which makes you even cooler, because I knew it was Profit. I'm just glad I got half the name right. All right, so there's your 5 matches. Let's see. We both like Velveteen Dream. We both like Fish O'Reilly. We both like Ember Moon, although you think the match could end in a schmaz. I think Ember wins clean. We both like Almas, and our only split. You like Aleister Black, and I like Adam Cole to win that match. So, all right. Because I also think Fish and O'Reilly could interfere in that match as well, and could help him win. So, anyway, and doesn't have to, and doesn't, he doesn't get DQ'd or whatever. So anyway, all right. So there's your NXT Takeover Philadelphia card live on the WWE Network. I think they start at 7 on, or is it 8? No, I think it's 7 o'clock on Saturday nights when they do it. I don't know who's doing a takeover. I'll be in Philly. Otherwise, I would have asked you, Brother Nate, if you wanted to. Maybe somebody will do a reaction show for Takeover. You and I did one. We did one a while back. We're going to start doing that again.
Let's say it's been a little while.
It's been a while since you and I did one. I'm not sure if somebody did one for War Games, but there could be a reaction show might pop up out of nowhere on Saturday night. All right, now let's talk about the big show. Sunday night from Philly.
What do you need to know about Paul White?
Is he gonna dress like a fat bastard? Is he gonna dress like Showmania?
We'll still be in the Rumble.
Exactly. Probably. Wouldn't be surprised. All right, so here we go. The Royal Rumble. What number is this? It's 2018. Is this the 31st? Well, because 1988 was the first one.
Yeah, the 31st.
It's the 31st. 31st Royal Rumble. There's a boatload of entrants that have not been announced. According to Wikipedia, only 17 of the 30 have been announced for the men's Rumble. We'll get to that one last. Let's do the fourth.
I have a lot of thoughts about the way the men's match has been built up to, shall we say.
Okay. Yeah, because I still have. Of course, I have my upset pick that everybody thinks I'm out of my mind, but we'll get to that later. Let's do the 4 regular matches.
I mean, he's been blessed by Triple H now. He's gotten the torch has been passed.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't see him winning another Rumble, though. That would be awesome. Anyway, no. I'm not picking him to win. We'll do the 2 Rumbles last. Let's get the 4 regular matches out of the way, and then we'll do the women. We'll do the 2 Rumbles. All right. The SmackDown tag team titles are on the line. I don't think do we have a pre-show match? Because it is 2 hours long. There may be a pre-show match announced. You'll be hearing this late Thursday night or early Friday morning between now and then. Maybe they'll add a pre-show match because usually for the big 4 pay-per-views, the pre-show's 2 hours. So the WWE Network will be up at 5, and then of course the show will be at 7. So all right, the blue tag belts will be on the line. The SmackDown tag team titles. Your champions, Jay and Jimmy, who've been great, taking on Chad Gable and the original Gold Standard. And that, of course, is Shelton Benjamin. This could be one of those steel matches. Like when we were talking, Nate, 2 weeks ago, when we were doing our awards, and I was talking about the New Day Usos match from the pre-show on SummerSlam that kind of came out of nowhere for me. Yeah. This match has that feel, too. This match has that feel that this could come out of nowhere and end up being a real sleeper. I think the Usos retain. But I think this could be a show stealer for me. And it's 2 out of 3. And it's 2 out of 3 falls. This match could easily be like 30 minutes. I don't think it's gonna be that long. This match is probably going to be minimum 15 minutes, probably close to 20 if it's 2 out of 3 falls.
Yeah, and if you had asked me this about a week ago, I think I would have gone with Gable and Benjamin just because that was coming on the heels of was it Jimmy or Jay that had the DUI, unfortunately.
Jay?
I
don't know. One did that. Then one had the what was it? The not domestic violence, and the other one got pinched for something a couple years ago. So they're now 1-1 in legal issues. I think it's Jay that had the DUI, and they didn't strip him of the belts though, and they didn't strip him of the titles either.
Right.
So
I think if this match had taken place a week ago, I thought there was a chance like this could have been a title change, especially since Gable and Benjamin have been really kind of stepping into their own with this heel character. And the Usos, like we talked about when we did our best ofs, the Usos have quietly undergone this really cool babyface turn without giving up a lot of their character.
Right.
Like they're pretty much still the same guys. They're just now we like them, and they're not as bad as they were. It's funny though because and now that I'm talking myself through it, I was gonna say the Usos retain, but part of me thinks the dynamic for this feud needs for the Usos to lose so they can chase.
Okay.
So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Usos lose. It's gonna be. You know what? I'm gonna say it. It's gonna be the best match on the show. It's gonna be the best match on the show. But unfortunately, for the Uso fans out there, the Usos lose, and this starts a chase where they eventually get their belts back at WrestleMania.
Interesting. All right. I am going to go with, as much as I like Gable, I think I'm going to agree to disagree. I think the Usos retain. I think you're going to see a multi-team match at WrestleMania, and I could see Gable and Benjamin winning that, and then the Usos chase. So I'm going to go with that. I think the Usos win the singles match here, and then I think you're going to see a multi-team match at WrestleMania, and I think Gable and Shelton win there. So I'll go with that. So I like eventually going with Shelton and Gable. I just don't think it'll happen Sunday. So, all right, we got a split there. You like the titles changing? I don't. All right. I do see a title change in this next match. The other half of the coin, the red belts are on the line. The red tag team titles, the Raw belts. Your champions, Seth Rollins and Nate's favorite wrestler and incredibly awesome babyface character. No, I'm kidding. Jason Jordan. Taking on the Bar. This one I definitely see. I definitely see the titles changing. The Bar will win the belts back because I think this is where you'll see the slow burn of Jason Jordan becoming a legitimate heel. So, and I think he attacks Seth after this match. So, I like the Bar to regain the Raw Tag Team Championships here, and I think the Jason Jordan heel turn will be in full swing.
I agree with you, but I disagree with you at the same time, Scott.
All right.
I 100% agree that this is the story they're going to tell, but I don't think that story starts at the Rumble. I think it starts the night after the Rumble. I think they win the belts, they retain the belts at the Rumble, and then, Jordan, who has quietly become a really good heel character that is drawing genuine heat instead of just go away X-Pac heat, I think he gets so full of himself that he offers an open challenge the next night and the bar come out, and then that's when they win, and that begins the breakup between him and Seth.
Interesting. All right. So you're going with the same philosophy I am for the other tag match, where we both feel the belts are going to switch, but
just a matter of when.
But a matter of when. So you and I are on the same page, just different chapters. I think that's going to happen with the SmackDown belts. You think it's going to happen with the Raw belts. All right, that's cool. I think this match will be good. Obviously Jason Jordan is not Dean, because I had said that Dean and Seth against the Bar at SummerSlam, that match was also ridiculously awesome.
Yeah.
I think this match will be good. It won't be great. It'll be good. And I think that I think the belts are going to change hands here. You think they'll change hands the next night? All right, fair enough. So the belt will change hands in Philadelphia, in that building. You just think it'll be on Monday, and I think it's on Sunday. All right, good. I like that. We're kind of in symmetry, just different shows. All right. Next, we have a handicap match for the WWE Championship. Your champion, of course, the great AJ Styles, the main event's 2017 WWE Wrestler of the Year, taking on both Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a handicap match. It's hard to say how good this match is going to be, because anytime you have a match where you have handicap, anytime you have a handicap match, it's difficult to book. It's difficult to gauge. It's difficult to gauge what story they're going to tell. I guess it depends on whether you think somebody's going to win. There's two schools of thought here. You can do AJ retains, or you can do like Taker and Kane at Breakdown 98 and have them both pin AJ. And then SmackDown comes up with something. I don't know which show has which. I think SmackDown has Fastlane this year, and I think Raw has the Chamber, because it was the reverse last year. I'll have to double check that.
Yeah.
I'll have to double check that. So you could there's multiple schools of thought with a handicap match like this. I'll let you go first. What do you think here? And how do you think they'll tell the story here?
Oh man, there's a couple things here. There's not really a good option here. I think if AJ reigns, this isn't the match I wanted to see. If Owens and Zayn win, that's not the result I wanted, especially, as we're starting the road to WrestleMania, AJ losing. And then the other thing is AJ winning and Owens and Zayn start to feud again, which is definitely not something I want to see from these two at this point. I just for the fact that we're going to WrestleMania, I think AJ has to retain. I mean, for the story, maybe you can do a quick title change where Owens and Zayn win, and then AJ gets it back, and whatever you're going to do with Shane and Bryan, I just hope all of that stuff is kind of done before we get to WrestleMania. Because to me, while all the people involved are good, that is not a WrestleMania level program, in my opinion.
No, I don't think so either. But I
want AJ to retain.
Okay, I like AJ to retain too, because my Rumble pick directly correlates to him still having the title when we get to New Orleans. So I'm gonna go with AJ retaining the title here. I think it could be a solid match. I mean, you got three great workers. So, obviously, you have AJ, who's top of the line, and both Sammy and Kevin are not chopped liver. So, I think the match will be fun to watch. I'm curious to see the way that they tell the story, because handicap matches are kind of a bitch to try to
Yeah.
storytell.
As we talked about on our last show, as great as AJ and Kevin are, the matches that they had last year weren't exactly the greatest.
Right, exactly. And so it'll be interesting to see what they do, and maybe Sammy adds a dynamic to this that makes the match a lot better. So you and I both concur AJ Styles will retain the WWE Championship on Sunday. All right, time now for the last singles, or the last non-Rumble match of the night, the triple threat match for the Universal Championship. We're back in Philly, and once again we have a triple threat match with Brock Lesnar. Again, 3 years ago in 2015, it was Brock versus Cena versus Rollins. The type of wrestler changes here, because you've got three Haas's in the ring here. You've got Brock Lesnar, Kane, and Braun Strowman. I'd like to think, I mean, obviously nobody wants Kane in it, but one thing you got to give Kane credit for, he's moderately serviceable, and he'll do his thing. I'd like to think that this match will be a lot like the 4-way at SummerSlam, but you don't have guys as mobile and as flexible as Roman and Joe in this match.
Yeah.
Kane's not going to throw himself around like those guys did for Braun and for Brock. Sorry, I brain farted for a minute. So I'm not sure. I think Brock retains because we all know what we're leading towards. In New Orleans. So Brock's going to retain. I don't think this match will be a stinker. I know everybody wants to just presuppose because Kane's in it, the match is going to suck, and the usual short-sightedness by troglodytes. I think this match is going to be good. I think Braun and Brock will not allow it to. Well, Brock will definitely not allow it to suck. So I think it'll be fine. I have a feeling this match. I hate to say this, but I think this match could be the crowd. I don't know, like the crowd speller before the Rumble, which is weird. But that's what I think. I think Brock retains because we all know what that's leading towards in New Orleans. So I don't see the title changing here. But I don't think. Let's talk more because I'm assuming you probably think Brock's going to retain too. So unless you have something completely wonky, then I'm very interested in what you have to say. I'm just curious to see how you think the pace of this match is going to go, and just like the previous match, what story you think they can tell with these three guys.
I mean, obviously, this is the story of Kane's redemption. He's the old gunslinger that comes in and wins the title against two imposing foes. And he's he's not the demon anymore. He's a city councilman that cares about his community and his family, and Kane's going to make the WWE great again.
Indeed.
As much as I would like to see this be the match where Braun gets the belt, I don't think it's going to happen. And unfortunately, if it's not going to happen here, I don't see it happening until late this year. If that, I think maybe he's just going to end up being a really hot babyface upper mid-carder / main eventer that gets the fans excited and is in there battling with the top guys but never gets the belt because maybe he doesn't need the belt, if you think about it. So I think Brock retains because ultimately I believe their plans are still going to be to try to force this Rock. I wish it was damn Rock. Try to force this
Rock. Hell yeah. Sign me up for that.
Yeah, I'd be down for that. But I think they're going to try to force this Roman and Brock thing on us. So Lesnar's going to win. And I think the story they're going to tell is that Brock, while he's a monster among monsters, he's going to be the intelligent monster. I think we're going to see more of the kind of cagey veteran Brock Lesnar than we've seen before. And maybe, because we know the ultimate end game of all of this is Roman Reigns is our big top babyface. At least that's what the company wants.
Of course.
Maybe we see Brock do, he wins the match, or Kane gets taken out or whatever, and we see Brock just go to town on Braun and beats down this fan favorite. It's tough, though, because if you do that, Braun's got to get some comeback and some comeuppance, but that's not the story going forward. So I don't know what you do. Maybe it's just a straight-up match and Brock wins, but I think we're going to see kind of more of a cagey, almost heelish Brock Lesnar in this three-way.
Yeah, because they do make a point whenever Brock and Braun are interacting that Braun pretty much chucks him around. So there's no fear there. And to Brock's credit, and I don't give Brock credit for much, but to Brock's credit, he has learned to kind of adapt to that and make their dynamic. And I thought their match at Great Balls of Fire was decent. It wasn't 5 stars, but it wasn't a dud. It was okay. Yeah. And I think you'll see a lot of that storytelling as well. So your whole cagey thing, I like a lot, because I think that is Brock trying to adapt to the fact that every time him and Braun are together, Braun beats the shit out of him. So, that is where I think we're going to go with that. So I think that's a fantastic analysis, Nate, because I do think that Brock's going to wrestle not like a bull in a china shop, but let the other two big guys beat the snot out of each other, and he sneaks in, And I think the fans will dig that anyway. So as long as Kane doesn't win the belt, which we know that's not going to happen. So that's not going to happen.
It'd be so great if Kane won, just to piss off that crowd.
Yes. Wait, I'm in that crowd. I actually don't care. That doesn't phase me.
Maybe that's how we get babyface Roman. Kane wins, and then the next night Roman beats Kane, and then he finally gets cheers.
That's sad. What a way to create babyface by having poor Kane be the sacrificial schmuck. But all right, now for the obviously the two big reasons for our show, or the big theme. Of course, we have the regular big men's Royal Rumble, with the winner getting the shot in New Orleans against somebody. But for the first time ever, because the women's roster is actually pretty badass, we have the women's Royal Rumble. 30 women. And the winner gets a shot against either, I'm assuming right now, Alexa Bliss, or Charlotte, depending on who wins the Rumble, obviously, on which show. There are 18 of the 30 entrants announced right now. Naomi, Asuka, Ruby Riott, Natalya, Sasha Banks, Bayley, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Carmella, Tamina, Lana, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan, Mickie James, Nia Jax, Becky Lynch, Alicia Fox, and Dana Brooke. So 12 spots remain. There's plenty of women left in this company that'll be on, and a couple of surprises, I think. One blonde in particular could be one of the surprises. All right. Before we do that, we're going to pick winner, most eliminated, longest in the ring, and number 30. That'll be our 4 picks. All right? Before we do that, though, let me ask, do we see Ronda?
Yes, but there's a caveat. Like, we see Ronda, but I don't feel she's a competitor in the Rumble. I think, especially now that the announcement came out today that Stephanie McMahon is going to be announcing the Rumble, I think that we see Ronda ringside, and there'll either be interaction between her and Steph or between her and Charlotte if they're going to do the horsewomen versus horsewomen thing.
Okay. All right. I agree with you. I think you'll see her too, and I think the Philly crowd will get jacked for that because, we love Ronda. What are your thoughts on Stephanie? Believe it or not, I'm not mad. I'm not upset. You know why? Because the only time she acts like a bitchy, not put anybody over heel is with regular storyline men. Whenever she talks about the women, she's relatively normal.
Yes.
She's like the godmother. But when but God forbid any of the men try to put her get put over on her. Absolutely not. But anyway, I don't have a problem with it. I think it'll be fine. Can't be any worse than fucking Booker and Cole, and it can't be any worse than that, I suppose, right? Are they going to split? They haven't announced who's going to be. Are they doing a split? Like, are they going to do?
That's the thing. Like, I don't know. That's my only concern is that, is she going to be in there with the Raw team or the SmackDown team or some amalgamation? And, like, how many people are going to be calling this match? Like, because I remember there was one year where, and this might be going back to when they had ECW on Sci-Fi. Like, we had the 3 shows, Raw, SmackDown, and ECW, and everybody was commenting at the same damn time. It was not enjoyable.
Yeah, I know. I have a feeling it'll be all right. I think Stephanie realizes she can't be that fucking... Well, I'm not going to have to worry about it because I won't be listening.
I was saying, maybe everybody just shuts up because the boss's daughter is talking, and she pulls a Joey Styles and does a solo commentary.
That'd be great. I think she'll be fine. It depends. It does depend on what combination they'll have. I have a feeling you're going to see Tom Phillips do the play-by-play for this one, because I think Cole will do the play-by-play for the men's one. So I think my prediction is going to be Phillips, Stephanie, and Booker. And I think the men's will be Cole, Corey, and maybe a surprise. Maybe Otunga, who knows? Or whoever else does SmackDown. Maybe JBL will make a shock appearance, who knows? But I think Cole will men's match, and I think Tom will lead the women's match. It's my prediction. Anyway, all right. I'll let you go first. Give me your winner, your most eliminated, who's in the longest, and who's number 30. We'll start from bottom to top. Who's your number 30?
If she were physically able to compete, my number 30, just kind of as a tip of the cap, it might have been Trish Stratus. Not Trish Stratus, because I think Trish Stratus is going to be the big surprise. It would have been Alundra Blaze.
That would be awesome.
That would have been cool, but I don't think she's physically able. She had surgery not too far ago. So.
Yeah, she had surgery, I think. So yeah, no, she's out. That sucks though, because that'd be awesome.
Because that would have been really cool. And she's still, for somebody in their 50s or 60s, whatever it is, she's still in good shape. So, but since that's not going to happen, I'm going to say number 30 will be. Give me...
I got a random one for number 30 myself, so...
You know what? Give me... Is there anybody from Philly in this match?
I don't know. Carmella's from Staten Island. No, I don't know. I'm not sure, actually. I'm not sure.
You know what? I'll go with her favorite. Natalya will be number 30.
Oh, God. The cats will be number 30. All right. Okay. My number 30 is very random. My number 30 is Ruby Riott. I don't know why. I just have a weird feeling Ruby Riott's gonna be number 30. Just a random pick. Nothing. No method to that choice. I was just picking someone totally random. I think Ruby Riott will be number 30.
Okay.
All right. Who will be in the longest?
The longest competitor, much to no surprise to people that know my particular taste and likings and leanings. I'm going to say the longest person in the match is one Nia Jax.
Wow. Well, you're expecting a lot of cardio, huh? I've got Nia on another pick, but my longest is going to be Sasha, because I think Sasha's going to be like 2. And I think she's going to last like 50 minutes. That's my pick.
It's a bad pick.
So I do have Nia with the most eliminations. Nia will be the Diesel 94 Sunday night. I think she's gonna chuck a bunch of the smaller, like the skinnier girls. I think she's gonna throw them all over the place. So I like her with the most eliminations.
I've got Nia with the most eliminations as well.
All right.
So we might be seeing a pattern here.
I think we might be seeing a pattern here as well. All I don't think you have her. So you think she'll come in early then?
I think she comes in early, and I think she gets the most eliminations.
Is it going to be like a whole big? Is it going to be like an Andre thing where like 15 girls throw her out kind of thing?
Yeah, I think eventually it'll take that type of effort to get her out of the match.
Okay. And who do you like winning?
Nobody beats Asuka.
I agree. I don't think there's any doubt about it. No doubt about it. Because it is going to be Alexa and Asuka in New Orleans, and I think that match is going to be great. And I think Asuka wins. Because I think they're going to be very careful who beats her. Because they have done a hell of a job with sculpting her undefeated streak to go this long. You're not just going to pick some. And I don't think they want to do the whole Edge WrestleMania 23 caveat where, yeah, he's undefeated at WrestleMania in singles matches or matches because he didn't win that Money in the Bank. I don't think they want to fuck around with that. So I think they're just going to have her win this Rumble. But it's going to be very entertaining.
And that's why the match on Raw, not this past Monday, but the week before, kind of felt odd to me that they gave away Nia and Asuka, at least on the main roster, because I think you could actually build that up for, if not a Mania match, a SummerSlam match.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. So, all right, so there's our women's picks. I have Asuka winning, Nia Jax most eliminations, Sasha will be in it the longest, and number 30 will be Ruby Riott. You have Asuka winning. You have Nia with the most eliminations and being in the longest. And you have Kitty there, Kitty Catty Kitty Crazy at number 30 being Natalia. All right. Now the big one.
Is it though? Because that is my whole problem with this build, Scotty, is, I know, you got to give the ladies their due. This is a historic moment, them having the first Women's Rumble. But to me, and I don't know if it's because of Women's Rumble or just because they don't know what the hell they're going to do, or because they also had to plan for the 25th anniversary of Raw for the go-home show. But for whatever reason, the actual Rumble match seems less focused upon than any Rumble in recent memory to me. Like, it doesn't feel as important this year.
Interesting. That's an interesting point. I don't have a problem with that. With that theory. I felt last year's Rumble didn't have that either. I feel like last year's Rumble kind of had that same kind of disjointed thing too. 2 years ago, obviously Roman was going in as champion, so that one obviously was very focused because it was a title match in essence. Yeah, I don't disagree with you on that. I think it'll end up being a great Rumble. This one has 13 open slots. 17 guys have been announced. Elias, Randy Orton, Shinsuke Nakamura, John Cena, Finn Balor, Baron Corbin, Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt, Rusev, Aiden English, Apollo Crews, Titus O'Neil, The Miz, Ty Dillinger, Big E, Kofi, and Xavier. So all the New Day. So there's 13 slots right now open. I'm kind of processing your analysis. I'm not totally disagreeing with you, but I do that they've tried to make it a focus. Maybe that's because it's Raw's fault that maybe the show booking has not allowed it to be the focus. I think they care more. I mean, they put a lot of time into Roman and Braun in their respective things. So, and with Brock not being on all the time, you would think the Rumble would get more plug, and it hasn't. So that's the interesting thing. All right. Who's your number 30?
I'm going to say my number 30 is... You know what? I'm going to say number 30 is going to be...
D'Lo Brown. Oh, wait, no. Wrong show.
I think number 30 will be... I'm going to go with an oldie but a goodie and say it's our man, Randall Keith Orton.
I had a feeling you were going to say him. So you think last year's winner will come out at number 30.
Yeah, and he's kind of one of those guys, like he's he's the perfect 30. Like he's big and he's believable that he could win, but he's not going to win.
Right, exactly. I might piss myself off since I'm going to be in the building, but I think Roman's going to be number 30. 2 straight years. Remember, he was 30 last year, so
that'd be great.
2 straight years, Roman will be number 30. I think also just to piss everybody off. So that's what I think too. All right. Who's in the longest?
I'm going to say your boy Finn Balor is going to be in the longest.
I do too. I'll tell you why in a minute.
I was going to say, to me, I think a large part of that is I was just kind of looking through and thinking, A, who are the guys that can go? And B, who are the guys that have the most distinct interests? Because I think, the earlier, 1 and 2, those are really the only guys that can get that good entrance. Everybody else, you're not paying attention.
No, it's too long. They don't have enough time to have a good entrance. So
I'm thinking Finn enters either 1 or 2.
Okay, I agree. I think Finn actually is going to go in number 1. That's my opinion. I was going to say who you think should be number 1, but I didn't even think of that. Most eliminations. My pick may surprise you, but go ahead. Who do you think's going to have the most eliminations?
I think if this were Vegas, the odds-on favorite would probably be somebody like a Roman if Roman went in earlier. In my headcanon, in my perfect scenario, it'd be E because you could kind of use this as a launching pad to propel him to bigger and better things. But I don't think it's going to be either of those guys. I think it's going to be somebody that they want to get over for whatever reason. But to me, he has not really connected, and I think this will be their second or third attempt at trying to get him to connect, and that's Baron Corbin.
Okay, that's not a bad pick. As we're doing these picks, and I'm looking at this, your theory about not being focused, because at this point we would have at least like 25 guys picked. You only have 17 guys picked for this Rumble, which is kind of messy when you've only got like 3 days left. Usually by now, with 3 days left, there's maybe 25 guys announced. That's why it's kind of difficult. That's why it's been difficult to make picks.
Yeah, well, a bunch of people would come in. We'd have like that mass segment where you get maybe 5 or 10 guys in a chunk. Like I'm gonna be in the Rumble, and then somebody else's music hits. Now, wait a minute, I'm gonna be in the Rumble, right. And we really haven't got those big time like segments where you get a big chunk of entrance at one time.
Yeah, no, I agree. So I think you'll see some announcements probably over the next day or so, Friday, Saturday. So, but yeah, my most eliminations, believe it or not, this may surprise you because usually most eliminations you think it's somebody huge, huge physically, not huge like a star. That's like we said with Nia. My most eliminated, Elias. Because I think Elias is going to eliminate a guy, then go outside, play his guitar, and then come back in, eliminate somebody else, play his guitar, and then back and forth. That's what I think. And I think he eliminates Cena. Because I think they're going to keep that storyline going. Because there's a good rumor that it's supposed to be the two of them at WrestleMania, which I think might be pretty cool. So I think Elias is the most eliminations.
Yeah, I got another sleeper pick for most eliminations though. Now that you talk about the kind of size, it wouldn't surprise me if Knock got a long run. I don't think Knock's going to win, but it wouldn't surprise me if he had a really good showing.
I was just looking at his name. Wow, you and I have such symmetry tonight. I was thinking that Knock may get a run too. Kinshasa, 5 guys over the top rope. I would not be surprised too. I like that pick, Nate. You and I are in symmetry tonight. I was thinking the same thing actually.
I don't think he'll win, but I think he'll be in the final 10 or final 8.
Yeah, I think so too.
The Philly fans will actually believe it, and then Superman punches them out.
Oh my God! God, I hope not. All right. Everyone knows who I want to win because I've talked about it constantly, so I'll hold off my pick. Who is going to WrestleMania to face somebody?
See, I would love to say Nakamura because to me, we talked about this for a while, Scotty. To me, Nak and AJ is my WrestleMania match. I think it's still a slight possibility, but it's not the best possibility. I don't think that's the most likely outcome. I like your pick. It's intriguing, and especially coming off Raw 25, where he kind of got the blessing of your boy Triple H.
That's right.
It makes a little bit more sense. But what's Occam's razor? I was watching the X-Files tonight, and Scully was talking about Occam's razor, which is I think it's like the simplest explanation is usually the right one, something like that. And so we know who they want to be their top guy. As much as I hate to say it, Scotty.
Oh, no.
It's another year.
Oh, no.
He's not the best guy. He's not a good guy. He's not a bad guy. Scotty, he is the guy. Roman Reigns wins again.
Philly again? Oh, my God. The place will burn to the ground. There'll be nothing left. There'll be no Super Bowl because the whole team will be burned down. The whole city.
Instead of The Rock coming out to try to blessing and make the fans cheer for him, it'll be Nick Foles and Randall Cunningham.
It'll be Randall Cunningham, Eric Lindros, Mike Schmidt, John Kruk. Who's one of the guys? Doctor. You bring out Doctor. You don't ruin Dr. J's legacy. Damn it. Oh man. Wow. Well, D'Amato and I'll definitely be flying for the exit if that happens. I'm not even waiting for the end. Irish exit. See ya. No. No.
How many drunk fans are going to run the polls that night?
The Roman fans will be greasing their pole. Oh no. No. Everyone knows my pick. I've said it many times over the last 6 or 7 months. I do think Finn's going to win this Rumble, and I think he's going to go to SmackDown. And he's going to challenge AJ, and you're going to see Finn AJ at WrestleMania. Which, in my opinion, Nate, is like 1A and 1B to AJ Knock. Because I'll watch either of those. I have no problem with Knock winning. Not at all. But that's what I think. I think you're going to get Roman. Because honestly, creatively, you can get Roman Brock without having Roman win the Rumble. Just, get your head out of your asses and think outside the box. Very simple. Very simple. You can get Roman Brock without Roman having to win the Rumble. You don't need that. Can we please think outside the box here? Please, for God's sakes. You don't need Roman to piss off the worst city to piss off. Again. I mean, Finn is winning. And Tuesday, and Finn will say goodbye to the WWE Universe, or Finn may not show up Monday night, and then Tuesday night in Philly, he walks in and points right at AJ. That's what I'm thinking. That's what's going to happen. And then you've got friggin' 9 weeks or something to do something with Brock and Roman? Honestly. So, You know what? Roll up your fucking sleeves and write something. All right? You want it so bad, don't ruin the Rumble with it. Do something. Do like the Gold Rush or whatever that stupid tournament was. Do something like that. Have a match at the... Honestly, I'm sorry, you want to have a big number one contender? Have Roman win in the chamber. Win in the fucking chamber. There you go. That's where Roman gets his number one contender slot. He wins it. Let me confirm that. Before I do that, let me confirm the next 2 pay-per-views. The Chamber's actually the next one. The Chamber is... It is Raw. It is February 25th. It is February 25th from the T-Mobile Arena in Paradise, Nevada, the new building in Vegas where the Knights play, the Golden Knights play. So February 25th, that gives you a whole 5 weeks to promote Brock and Roman. Roman wins the number one contenders chamber. Brock shows up, sits at ringside. You don't need a title match at that show. Brock shows up, sits at ringside. Roman wins the number one contender chamber. And there's your main event. If the chamber was the SmackDown pay-per-view, then I would be leery of Finn. Then I wouldn't pick Finn. Because Finn could then win that. So that's what I think. The chamber.
That's a good point. So I'll amend mine. Even though there is still a chance, Vince being Vince, that Roman can win, I'm going to go with my heart then and say Knock wins. Damn it.
Because I don't think you can have, if the chamber is the Rumble, if the chamber is a Raw pay-per-view, I can't see the Rumble. I keep saying the Rumble. I can't see the Raw chamber being for the title. I'm not going to see Brock wrestling in a chamber. I just can't see that happening. So that's why I think either a SmackDown guy or my theory of Finn winning and hopping to SmackDown happens Sunday in Philly. And I think Roman wins a number one contenders in the Chamber. And because then the show after that, Fastlane, is, let me type fact, because of course they don't have a thing yet for it on the Fastlane 2018. Here we go. All right, Fastlane will be March 11th from the Nationwide Arena in Frankie Williams' hometown of Columbus, Ohio, and that is a SmackDown show. And you're not going to come up with a number one contender with only 3 weeks to go before Mania. So you need to have the number one contender for that belt set by Fastlane. Yeah. That's my theory. So I don't think Roman is going to win Sunday because Roman's going to win the number one contender on February 25th in the Chamber in Vegas, and that's when he gets his Brock shot. And then Fastlane can be some flim-flam. Finn can be challenged. Maybe Knock. How about this? How about Knock walks up to Finn and goes, not be a heel, but be like, why don't you, you think you're the man. Everyone thinks, I'm the man. And maybe we have Finn Knock in a number one contenders match, kind of like Shawn and Owen at In Your House 6. Maybe we have something like that. At least at Fastlane, you can finagle something. But I think if the SmackDown pay-per-view is only 3 weeks before Mania, you need to have your number one contender set already. You can't do anything at that show for AJ's belt. It's too late, in my opinion, for it to actually make any fucking sense. So that is why I'm picking. I mean, I don't have a problem with somebody else on SmackDown winning. So Knock is not out. I mean, honestly, Nate, I don't think Knock is completely out of the realm of possibility. But I do think Finn, my theory is Finn's going to win and hop shows, go to SmackDown, challenge AJ. There's your one match. And then I think February 25th at the Chamber in Vegas, that's where Roman wins and gets his title shot with Brock. That's what's going to happen. If the Chamber was a SmackDown pay-per-view, then I would put, I don't know if I'd put Finn in that. Well, no, because Finn wouldn't be on the show. It'd have to be somebody else. Then if for all you Roman haters out there, and we know there's a big hole, the fact that the Chamber is a Raw pay-per-view should make you feel at ease he's not winning on Sunday. That's my theory. I'm trying, Brother Nate. I'm trying. I'm trying,
Always a chance.
So that's my theory. And that way, March 11th in Columbus at Fastlane, SmackDown can do something loosey-goosey, but at least their number one contender or their title match at WrestleMania is already set in stone. Because I don't think you want to have that lingering, and then there's only 3 weeks between that pay-per-view and WrestleMania. So I could see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn attacking Finn, and then they have like a triple threat for Finn's title shot. Something like that. They can do whatever they want on that show, but I think the SmackDown title match needs to be set by then. That's why I think, and the fact that that's after the Chamber, that's why I think Roman does not win Sunday. Roman will win his title shot in the Chamber on February 25th. We'll talk more about that in 2 weeks because obviously the show will happen already. There's your weekend. Nice meaty segment. I think it's one of the longest single segments I think I've ever done in the history of this show. So there you go. So for those going to Philly, we hope to see you. We'll be floating around. You heard us. You heard my PIC on Monday. Go back to the Place Be podcast from Monday, and he'll let you know the details on where we'll be, and maybe you want to meet up on Saturday or maybe Sunday, floating around. We'll see.
Everybody will be floating around in Philly that weekend.
Oh yeah, exactly. Thank God it's the God. It's a no-win. On a side note, Nate, being a Cowboy fan, it's a no-win situation. I was either going to get obnoxious, arrogant Eagles fans because they won Sunday, or bitter scumbag asshole Eagles fans if they lost on Sunday. So it was a lose. For me, it's a lose-lose. But anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I love the city of Philadelphia. I love going. I've been there multiple times, not just for pay. This is my second Rumble in 3 years there, but I've been there for other stuff. Philadelphia is a fantastic city. I'm just not a fan of their sports teams or their fans. Sorry, Brad. I love you too, Brad. We'll take a break because we need to breathe. When we come back, we will be joined by the conscience of Place B Nation, and we'll ask him for his picks quick at the start of the segment, Nate. Steve Wille will join us, and we will do our second TNA Classic pay-per-view recap segment. And we'll go back to June 26th, 2002 for weekly TNA pay-per-view number 2. And you know what that means? Cheex. How about Cheex winning the Women's Rumble? I mean, the men. Yeah, I can't believe I just said that. That was actually, I didn't even say that. I think Nia Jax could throw Cheex over the top rope. Like the ring would flip. But anyway.
Hey, I mean, displays of strength are kind of what the WWE does these days.
Exactly.
That's the bread and butter.
Exactly. And you'll want to listen to this segment because we've been talking about AJ. It is a very important moment in AJ Styles' life on that night, 2002. So we'll talk more about that as well. We're going from, we're turning back the clock. Next segment. Brother Nate, Brother Scott, and The Conscience coming up after the break. More main event after this.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey, pro wrestling announcer Kevin Kelly here. I want to make sure you are all subscribed to all the great feeds here at Place to Be Nation. It's really easy to do. Just head to iTunes or your preferred podcatcher app today and search and subscribe to the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed, which of course includes the full archives of the Kevin Kelly Show, the Place to Be Nation pod feed, and the Pro Wrestling Only feed. Subscribe, listen, and then rate us and leave feedback today. And be sure to give Justin your true thoughts. I mean, don't hold back. After all, he is kind of a jerk. Just listen to Scott.
Place to Be Nation's JT Rosero and Chad Campbell here. We want to let you know that we have a ton of great podcasts available to you on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlayStation.com, and we offer those to you on 3 great feeds. On the Place to Be Nation Wrestling feed, we bring you the Mothership, the original Place to Be podcast, as well as Main Event, Lucha Afterground, and our monthly pay-per-view reaction shows, as well as the Our Vantage Point podcast and Jeff Learns Wrestling. In addition to these full-length shows, we also deliver quick-hit pod blasts on topics old and new.
Over on the Pro Wrestling Only feed, we dive deep inside the wrestling business with a stacked army of experts leading the way. The feed features potpourri shows such as This Week in Wrestling, Greetings from Allentown, Psychology is Dead, Puro Potpourri, Stacy and Elliot's Bogus Journey, and the Military Industrial Suplex. We also have shows that focus intently on certain topics like Letters from Center Stage, Space City, and NWA Classics on Demand Adventure, Through the Years, Strong Style History, Strong Style Story, and Mount Olympus. Plus, the feed has the full archives of legendary shows like Titans of Wrestling, Where the Big Boys Play, Letters from Kayfabe, and much more. And on our popular Place to Be Nation Pop podcast feed, we offer such great shows as the Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, Rank and File, PTBN Dadcast, Go Home in a Box, NBA Team, and Lucha Undead, as well as a veritable podcast heaven for comics fans with the Hard Traveling Fanboys, Sellers Points, Todd Weber's Conversation, Geek and Sassy, and Imaginary Stories podcasts.
You can find all of these current shows plus archives of our past podcasts, including The Kevin Kelly Show, as well by subscribing to all of our feeds on iTunes, and while there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others, available on PlaceToBeNation.com, where we cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, plus in-depth stretch projects and more. Be sure to support our site by using PlaceToBeNation.com/Amazon when shopping online, and download our free PTB Vintage Vault Refresh ebooks via the links on our site. We also want to thank our friends at Bonehead's Wing Bar in West Warwick, Rhode Island, and Fall River, Massachusetts, TheHistoryOfWrestling.com, and Scott Keats' Blog of Doom. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr as well. PlaceToBeNation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Regulators, mount up. It was a clear black night, a clear white moon. Warren G was on the streets trying to consume some skirts for the E, so I could get some phones. Rolling in my ride, chilling all alone.
Just hit the east side of the LBC on a mission trying to find Mr.
Welcome back to Place to Be Nation's main event. Got the Godfather, Scotty. We are here for episode 93, the John Randall episode.
John Randall. How did I not remember John Randall? Oh.
And speaking of football, Scotty, I don't know if it's because Steve Wille is in the building, the conscience of Place to Be Nation. but I feel kinder this week. I feel gentler this week. And I'm actually going to say something extremely positive about our president.
Oh, wow. I'm impressed.
Being that today, Vince McMahon announced the XFL would return in 2020.
Yes, he did.
That also correlates with our next presidential election cycle.
That is true.
I think this entire term has been Donald Trump setting up the leaving of the White House and the entering in to the XFL as Commissioner Donald Trump. Smart plan. He can't be any worse than Roger Goodell.
That is true. He can't be any worse than Roger Goodell. That is true. Or any of the other commissioners. It's kind of sad. One of the 4 North American sports commissioners, Gary Bettman, is the least idiotic. Although I guess I mean, this is a good topic. I would love to, if you ever wanted a guest, Nate, I would love to be on with you and Marcus on an episode of the Kings of Sport to talk about the 4 North American commissioners, because when Gary Bettman is the least moron, I guess the jury, I guess, still. Well, let's bring in our third guy, because I'm curious of his opinion on this too. He is, of course, as Nate mentioned, the conscience of Place to Be Nation, Mr. Steve Wille.
Hello, guys.
I think you're going to be the XFL. You're going to be the
XFL talk.
You're going to be the XFL psychologist. That's what you're going to be. You're going to be like Mr. I was going to say Mr. Hanky. Look, everybody, it's the XFL poo.
Thanks for having me,
Mr. What was Brian Daniel Bryan and Kane's? What the hell was that asshole's name? Dr. Shelby. You're going to be the XFL's Dr. Shelby. So,
man,
I think Jared Lorenz, and I think Jared Lorenzen should wear a jersey that says "He ate me." I think he should do that. Actually, that would be fantastic. No, I mean, I think the jury's still out on Rob Manfred, but I'm not a Goodell fan. I've never been a Gary Bettman fan, and I honestly don't think Adam Silver has a clue what he's doing. I really don't. And I don't think the players have any respect for him. David Stern had a special relationship with the NBA players. Like, he had a special relationship with him. Like, Stern and Michael had a special thing, I always thought. And that's why the league was so great during David Stern's run as commissioner. Adam Silver does not have that. He's not charismatic. He looks like an alien. He's just an odd-looking human being with no personality. I don't think he has a relationship with LeBron or Steph or any of the big-time players like Stern did with Magic and Larry and Michael.
You leave white Tony Dungy alone.
Don't insult Tony Dungy like that.
If you look at Adam Silver.
Yeah, no, he definitely has some striking similarities, but not a lot of. Anyway, gentlemen, before we continue on with our second segment, a reminder that as you see on PlaceToBeNation.com, we are counting down till we release the site's top 100 greatest WWE wrestlers of all time. I think the other day we released 150 to 125, and we're continuing to count down. But that won't be the end of it, because all around PlaceToBeNation.com, you're going to see podcasts and blasts of some of our exceptional talent here at PlayStation.com, revealing their top 100. And Mr. Milton, you and I, sir, will be doing some, I guess you could call them main event extras, almost like Coliseum video exclusives, matches after we go off the air. Now, you and I will be doing some pod blasts where you and I will be revealing our top 100 as well. We'll do them in pieces of 10, so there'll be 10 pod blasts. Steve Wille, you're more than welcome to join us. You're more than welcome to join us if you'd like. You did a top 100, correct?
No, I did not.
Well then, go back to your office, Dr. Shelby. Maybe you could be like the moderator and read the site's top 100, and then we can compare it. Anyway,
that actually would be fun.
I think that would be fun. Maybe that's something we'll have to think about, brother Nate. Maybe Steve can reveal the site's top 100, and then you and I do our. Oh, we'll talk about it. Anyway, we'll be doing that. You'll be seeing that in the coming weeks when PlaceToBeNation.com releases their top 100. We got a whole bunch of them. I know Aaron George, and of course my PIC, Mr. Azaro, will be doing one, and Mr. Greenhouse, and Mr. Gordon will be doing one. So there's going to be a bunch of different podcasts all over with people revealing their top 100 and beyond. I think Aaron and Justin are doing some honeymoon thing. I think they're revealing like 500 or something. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of Aaron George, he was supposed to join us tonight because this is his segment too. However, he is touring Aaron in a color hockey jersey or whatever play he's doing. No, seriously. He does his high school touring musical, so he's not in his time zone, which means by the time he would be on with us now, we would all be asleep or watch the Cisco Demons and the Memphis Maniacs. By the way, guys, did you know, Steve, I think you know this because you were on the chat today. Nate, you probably saw it too. There is a guy, I have to find, I think it's called XFL 2001. There is a YouTube channel. It's not, I'm probably, as usual, late to the party, but there is a YouTube channel where some guy has every single XFL game from the whole season in 2001, all the games. So my goal is to watch all of them so I give myself 2 years to watch all of them before 2020 starts. So Commissioner Trump will let me do it. So make football great again. That's what we're gonna get. That's the hats we're gonna be wearing. Anyway, all right. Of course, gentlemen. This week it is our TNA Pay-Per-View Rewind, and then at the end of the program, brother Nate, it is of course your turn to reveal our next New Japan Pro Wrestling Classic match pick.
Yes.
That we'll be doing in 2 weeks, so you'll save that till the end of the show. And, of course, we'll have Mr. Chad Leon in 2 weeks to talk about that match. All right, guys. The date is June 26th, 2002. That's when it aired. It actually aired on the 19th. So it looks like, guys, that TNA early on did this in pairs. I think they did them in pairs. They shot 2 of them. And then kind of like Raw used to do in like 98, 99, they do a live Raw, and then they record the next Raw on Tuesday, and then air it the following Monday. That was in the pre-SmackDown years. So this was taped on the 19th, but aired on pay-per-view on June 26th, 2002. 3,000 were at the Von Braun Civic Center in Huntsville, Alabama. I got to tell you something, though, guys. I don't know what you guys thought, Steve, but I thought the crowd was really hot for show 1, and they seem to be pretty pumped for this one, too.
Yeah, I was surprised by the end of show 2. I'm like, man, this crowd is kind of starting to die down a little bit for this hot match, and that's when I looked up that this was taped on the same day. So you're sitting through a 4-hour show, and I'm sure that it took, with the first 2 shows, that they probably had some hiccups with production. That it's probably a long night of hot TNA action in Huntsville, Alabama.
It was very hot in Huntsville. All right, now when we left show number 1, we had crowned a new NWA World Heavyweight Champion, that gentleman being the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock. On this evening, they'll be continuing kind of building their foundation. We'll be crowning our first X Division Champion, which is, of course, TNA's version of the Intercontinental title, or the Cruiserweight. Well, no, I guess it would be Intercontinental title. It's not really just meant for small guys. So we will have a inaugural X Division Champion by the end of the night. Nate, what was your thoughts on the background or the basis for creating this title? Like, do you think it was good that they kind of went outside the box and had a different kind of secondary belt?
Yeah, I think it was a smart move because a lot of the talent they had were these smaller guys, were guys who would be light heavyweights or cruiserweights. And so kind of creating this division for them where the tagline would later be, it's not about weight limits, it's about no limits. I think it was a smart move to kind of differentiate themselves from the WWE.
Right. At this time in WWE, you had the U.S. champion. I don't remember who. No, you had no U.S. champion. They liquidated it during the Attitude Era. During the end of the Invasion, you only had the Intercontinental title. 2002 was probably held by RVD. I think at this time. Oh, this is at this time. This is when RVD and Eddie had that awesome feud of multiple pay-per-views and then the Great Ladder match. So the IC belt was hot, but there was no other secondary belt. I don't think they did that in 2000. Yeah, because they had that tournament. So I agree with you. I think it was. What do you think, Steve? It was almost like not really a cruiserweight, but almost like a hybrid cruiserweight.
Well, it went on to basically define what was great about TNA. So it looked like they were trying to recreate the cruiserweight division in WCW, but maybe not put that artificial weight limit on it. And I did hear Tenay even say it's about no limits during the match at some point, or maybe it was before when they were trying to sell it. So you can't argue with something that literally is the best part of the company from day 2 in this case.
Right. So we'll get to that at the end of the show. That was the main event. However, when we did leave the show, Jeff Jarrett, who was pissed off, he did not win the NWA title. Of course, the last two gentlemen in the Battle Royal were Ken Shamrock and Malice from the Disciples of the New Church, and then Shamrock won the match, so yeah, he is the champion. But Jeff Jarrett was pissed, started shoving around Jackie Fargo and the other 97-year-olds in the back, and then Scott Hall came out, speaking of 97-year-olds, and that leads us to our first match. Scott Hall and Jeff Jarrett in a singles match with Toby Keith accompanying Scott Hall, because, as you know, at the beginning of midway through the show last week, Jeff Jarrett shoved Toby Keith while he was singing his song. First off, guys, and I think I mentioned this on the first show, was it me and I think I said it to Greeny when we were watching it. Did Jarrett go to the pharmacy? Because he looked a little beefy. What do you think, Steve? I thought he looked a little bigger than the normal Jeff Jarrett look. You think?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, he was a little bloated at the end of WCW too, if I remember correctly. But if he's not going to ever be in the WWE again, so there's not going to be any drug testing, and
true.
And on top of that, he clearly is the face of this company. With just the last episode alone, he was on at least 4 or 5 times, and already starting off this show. Can you imagine also having to see him that much in one show, like 6-7 times over a 4-hour taping? So I wouldn't be surprised if he was trying to get himself ready to be the face of this company. And he's not exactly the smartest bulb in the drawer in terms of being a carny. So he might have thought that this was going to take off, and he would get that mainstream publicity.
Right. What'd you think, Nate, when you watched it? Did he look a little Barry Bonds-ish? I mean, his head didn't look like a pumpkin, but I thought he looked a little bigger.
I wouldn't go as far as to compare him to Bonds or McGuire or any of those dudes, but yeah, he did look a little bigger. Looked like he had a little bit more mass on him. But I think Steve's on the right track. Like, I think he felt that champion currently, then he had to have a more quote-unquote TV-ready look. So I think this was kind of his attempt to appeal to the masses that were used to bigger champions, a la Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's true. Scott Hall, meanwhile, yeah. It was the match was 7 minutes.
I mean, can we say I think Scott Hall looked better on Raw this past week?
Yeah, I know. This was not good. This was not good at all. Clotheslines were half missed. Yeah, this was not good. This was not good.
I thought it was like I wrote down that it was a paint by numbers match. It would be like a training match. It was okay. Scott Hall gets a couple moves in for his little shine. Jarrett takes control, kind of the heel and control, and then Scott Hall comes back. Interference. It was like they might as well just done drop down, leapfrog, drop kick that, go to the finish. It was very basic, and Scott Hall had his problems at this point. He was only a couple months removed from getting canned from WWE.
Right. The plane fell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was. I mean, I don't know, Nate. First off, I think it was a mistake to have Scott Hall win this match, because when you're talking about these two guys, I think Scott Hall was not the long-term guy. I think Jarrett was. So I think it was bad for him to lose anyway. But, I mean, Scott Hall could barely get clotheslines and like Irish whips in. I mean, bouncing off the ropes. It was rough. It was rough.
Yeah. And then you throw in all the Toby Keith stuff, which didn't quite hit.
No.
And then the Ron Killing stuff. Yeah, I think Steve is on the right track. This was very much like a video game match. Like I could have, if TNA had him at the time, this would have been me sitting there playing Jeff Jarrett versus Scott Hall for some damn reason.
Right. Good picks there. So Scott Hall wins. I don't know what they were trying to do here, but Jeff Jarrett does not look good. He's 0 for 2 in his first 2 pay-per-view attempts and loses this match, and it was not good.
My favorite part of the match was when Jeff Jarrett had to kind of give Toby the high sign, like, hey, it's time to come in and hit me in the balls.
Yeah.
It was like, I was wondering why he was looking back, and I'm like, oh my God, he's telling Toby to come in the ring. He should have just like put up a sign or something.
Yeah. This is not kayfabe. I mean, yeah, it was not good. Not good. All right. They show the close-ups of the strippers in the cages. We saw that a lot. All right. Next up, the moment has arrived. Oh, brother Nate. Aren't you happy that you're not on Clotheslines and Headlines? You never would have talked about this. The moment has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. The official on-air debut of Cheex.
Yes.
And he takes on some hump named Frank Parker.
And a little bit of NWA TNA history. This was actually the dark match from the week before.
Which the ring almost, which the ring collapsed.
Yeah, when they messed up the ring. So I don't know why they're like, well, that worked so well in the dark match. Let's run it again.
I mean, look, I understand big dudes, King Kong Bundy, Earthquake, Typhoon. I get big dudes. And even those guys have some kind of body definition.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying, Steve? Even for big dudes.
It's funny because I had a get together with some friends from my other job this evening before we taped, and one of the couple of the guys are huge wrestling fans, and one worked as a kind of a local indie manager for quite a while. Back in that could be good stories for another day. Like back in the early 2000s when like Ken Anderson and Punk and Cabana were coming around these parts.
Okay.
And so I had to describe what I was doing after, why I had to leave. They do some podcasting and stuff, and I had to tell them about, TNA, like the first. So we started talking about some of the early TNA, and I brought up Cheex. So they had not heard of them, so he, looked up Cheex, images on the web, and we found a picture from this match of Cheex doing like the bonsai drop type.
You did tell him it was Cheex with an X, right? It's Cheex with an X. Okay.
Oh, I did have to spell it out for him.
Okay,
and we found this
to spell it out for him.
Yep, if you put in CHEEX wrestler, the images come up. And
as opposed to Cheex the singer.
Cheex, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Maurice Cheex, CHEEX.
Oh, baby!
There's a drag queen out in Philly.
Oh, beautiful.
It's tremendous.
Yeah, so there was a quote from Jerry Jarrett, and I don't know where this is from, but the quote is, "Our character Cheex was very disappointing. He came across as a 400-pound fat man with no talent or ability."
Well, duh!
I also learned that he went by the name Rolling Thunder in the independent scene.
I think that's the name Aaron George leaves at hotels. I'd like to go to
Rolling Thunder,
I did a
Cheex deep dive, and I wasn't able to really pull myself out of
it. Once you get stuck in those cheeks, Steve.
Oh, my God. And if he did like the Rikishi stink face, forget it. Oh, my God. The 3,000 would have been swallowed up. I mean, this guy was gigantic, but no definition whatsoever. I mean, just oozing fat. I mean, it was unhealthy. I mean, he had these giant fucking thighs and like just literally he looked like a bag of oatmeal.
Yeah, that to me, Scotty, and again, this kind of ties back into our discussion about the New Japan match a little while back. But my overwhelming feeling, aside from laughter initially, was I felt bad for this dude's health. Like, is his heart going to be okay? Because he got tired into 1 minute into a 2-minute match.
He was blown up before he got to the ring. And I know people make jokes like that sometimes about wrestlers, but he was literally blown up as we haven't mentioned his valet Brown Eye Girl. Not Brown-Eyed Girl, Brown Eye Girl. Mm-hmm. Wink, wink, poop joke.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it was not good. It was honestly not good. And this guy should not be in a wrestling ring. He should be in like a clinic or something. I don't know to him. I don't know if he's still alive. I'm assuming he is. Maybe he looks great. I don't know. But he was unhealthy looking, and it was uncomfortable to watch. So I agree with you, Nate. I don't know why they even bothered to do a second match. I don't think we ever see this guy again. Does he ever come back? I don't think so.
I don't know. I hope so.
I hope so. Dr. Shelby's first patient in XFL. He's gonna be a line Memphis Maniac.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it definitely makes for a great conversation. Like, why did they think this was a good idea?
I don't know.
I think we do see Cheex one or two more times, but it's not a long run for Cheex.
No, it just wasn't good. Poor Frank Parker, where the hell he is now. Guess what? imagine like at parties. What do you do when you're at parties? It's like, oh, what'd you do for a living? Well, I wrestled and I lost to this guy. It's like, oh, okay, and then they all leave you to the other side of the room. It's like, it's like, what are you gonna do? Yeah, it's rough. That's rough. So Cheex wins. The official, according to the ProWrestlingHistory.com, which is where I'm getting the match times from, the match time is 2:08, which is probably about 2:07.
As of 2014, Cheex was still alive. He wrestled his retirement match in 2014.
The retirement match! He actually had a 12-year career? Or maybe he wrestled before that.
The Salem Civic Center, he was on the North American Wrestling Association's Legends Tour.
Legends! He's on a Legends Tour! Salem, Maine? Or Salem, Mass? Salem, Virginia? Salem where?
Let's see, this is... Now we're stuck in the Cheex wormhole like Steve was.
I know, my God, we can't get out now, Steve. I think we need your Dr. Show. I think we need the couch.
He seems to have had gastric bypass at some point.
Also, Johnny Valiant.
What?
Not Johnny Valiant, Jimmy Valiant.
Oh, Jimmy Valiant. Oh, God.
Which,
did Cheex eat him?
Feel sorry for the Boogie Woogie, man.
Oh, God. Talking about the boy from New York. Oh, incidentally, if anybody is watching the 81 Mid-Atlantic episodes on the network, they dubbed out the Manhattan Transfer boy from New York City, which is what Jimmy Valiant used in the early days, with that lousy, that terrible theme he used like in the later 80s in NWA.
It is Virginia because by day he was a supervisor for the Radar Transportation Service in Roanoke.
How'd you never see him then? Floating around your neck of the woods, right? Or is that too far away?
This is a really great article. I'm going to have to send it to you guys.
The Cheex wormhole. I might have to put that in the description on PlayStation.com. So I might actually type that as one of the tags. Cheex wormhole.
That should just be the name of the episode.
Episode 93. The Cheex wormhole.
Cheex wormhole episode.
That's tremendous. I'm doing that. I'm so doing that. I'm actually going to make it one of the tags, Cheex wormhole. All right, let's crawl out of the wormhole because unfortunately there's still a lot of crap in the early part of the show. All right. Next we have a singles match that was based from last week, the first episode. Speaking of pumpkin heads, gigantic Jeremy Borash there. He didn't look his head wasn't as large as it would be like 12 years later, but he interviews Hermie Sadler and at the time NASCAR Winston Cup points leader Sterling Marlin, who, by the way, I feel bad for Sterling Marlin. I don't know if this on the first. If I did, I apologize if I'm repeating myself. But Sterling Marlin, who used to drive the Coors Silver Bullet car, which was pretty sweet. He's the one. He got a lot of death threats the year before in 2001. I think this is kind of an image fixer for him because the year before, of course, 2001. Was the unfortunate death of arguably the greatest race car driver of all time, the Dominator himself, Dale Earnhardt, at the 2001.
Oh no!
500, and it was Sterling Marlin who bumped him, and it was a total accident. He didn't crush him. He bumped him, and of course, as you know, he hit the wall and snapped, and Earnhardt broke his neck, which now leads to the new neck restraint things in the cars. Anyway, Sterling Marlin.
Quick note for the listeners: if they heard me laughing in the background, I wasn't laughing at the tragic loss of Dale Earnhardt. I was laughing at an article that I thought was printed in 2014 was actually printed in 2001. My man had a retirement match before he even got started. So I guess TNA was when he came out of retirement. He came out of retirement to wrestle Frank Baker.
He is still alive. August 27th, 2017.
Okay. Does he still work for does he still drive a bus or whatever his job was?
Yep. His brother shouted out a happy birthday to him.
What's his nickname? Chins? Oh, good grief. All right. I know, you know, Nate, that almost sounded pretty cold. You were laughing at poor Sterling Marlin getting death threats. No, but he did. He got a lot because, obviously, Earnhardt fans there's a guy actually that lives near me here in Lower Fairfield County in Connecticut who actually has a Chevy painted exactly like the Dominator with the big good wrench and the 3 and everything. Dominator fans are hardcore, and so Sterling Marlin got a lot of death in 2001. So maybe this was like kind of like when Tyson came in '98, kind of like a image cleaner. So anyway, he and Hermie Sadler are being interviewed by Jeremy Borash last week in the first show, and out came our Crush or whatever his name is, K Crush, our Crush. That would have been even better. K Crush comes out, tells him nobody cares about race car drivers and blah blah blah, and then he goes after. I think he starts choking Hermie Sadler. And then in comes to see himself, Brian Christopher, because it's the one state where he can cross the border, not get pinched. And that leads us to this match between Brian Christopher and K Crush. Yeah. Brian Christopher was still in good shape. Both guys are in good shape. Obviously, the reason I make that joke is because Brian Christopher got fired from WWE because he kept getting pinched trying to cross the border from Canada into the U.S. for various paraphernalia. K Crush, obviously, is K Quick, another guy that got booted and is kind of restarting his career. I got to say, I didn't think this match was awful. It wasn't as bad as Scott Hall and Jeff Jarrett. This match went 447. Brian Christopher wins with the rocker draw, or whatever the heck the finish. I always call it the Tennessee Jam, but whatever the top rope leg drop to get the win. You think they were going overboard? Let me ask you first, Nate. Do you think they were going overboard with the baby faces winning everything?
I think it's fine for what they were trying to do in the arena, because this is a show that I felt kind of tried to serve too many masters. You're trying to serve the people in the arena, but you're also broadcasting out potentially across the world. And so if I'm watching at home, it seems very babyface heavy. If I'm in the arena, though, particularly in this match where you got, the NASCAR guys with Brian Christopher against K Crush, that I could see them booking that finish for the crowd.
What do you think, Steve? I think Nate's pretty right on. Make the crowd happy, however, maybe helping set up for future for TV. But I don't know. What do you think? Babyface overload?
Yeah, it could be, and also just try to pop the crowd to maybe sell more tickets for the next few, because who knows how much money they were going to get from these pay-per-views, and I still don't know to this day how successful a weekly pay-per-view for $10 is, but. Keep the crowd happy, and it comes across that way over the television too. This match was this match to me was so weird. I thought K Crush looked great.
I do too.
One of the most athletic guys outside of the main event, but Christopher as the driver of NASCAR seemed really weird for me.
Yeah, Brian Christopher does not make for a good babyface.
No, and the really cheesy dancing he did when he came out, and also the racial undertones as we talked about, with the last episode was really uncomfortable.
Yes, I agree.
And then the other note, one of the other notes I had was this is if we take away the Cheex match and just kind of place that just in our own personal Hall of Fame, and the first match and this one, both matches had faces with multiple people in their corner interfering. Which is that's a very strange dynamic. Usually that's something the heels do. But Razor had Jackie Fargo and Toby Keith, and now we have Sterling and I already forgot Hermie Sadler.
Hermie.
The Hermie man.
Yeah, Hermie. Cheex and Hermie.
Hermie, who would have a pretty good run with TNA for a while.
Really?
Right.
He eventually was one of their studio hosts for the stuff on the web, and I think he had his own independent federation that TNA gave a lot of guys to on occasion.
And when Jeff came back there, I think he was even just recently, or Hermie was giving them a little bit of money as well, and there was talk of him buying it. Anthem did.
Interesting. That's interesting.
Hermie.
Okay. Guess kart racing was not his gig. Oh, okay.
Why would you do a Stone Cold impersonation when you're trying to start up a new promotion?
I know.
It was very odd. He does the stunner on K-Crush. He did an amazing solid job of it, by the way.
Yes, he did. He did.
It was just very weird. And then he went up to the top rope, Christopher, and pretended like he was giving an oh, hell yeah. Like, it reminded me of the end of WCW when they were doing shouts out to WWE. Hey, let's talk about our way more famous competitor. While we're trying to.
If you know what the book is saying, no, that's not a good catchphrase at all.
On a side note, we're watching this Nitro from '99, and Hogan. Why was Hogan dressed like one of the Latin Kings? I don't know. He's got baggy jeans and flannel on, and I don't remember any of this. He's got a knit hat on. It's weird. He's wearing denim, blue denim jeans and a thermal plaid jacket. The hell did he dress like this?
Trying out a new character, Homeboy
Hogan. I mean, my God, that's rough. This is terrible. Well, they were in the shitter at this point anyway. This is right before Big Show left, or Giant, whatever the fuck his name was at this point. Anyway, Brian Christopher gets the win in 4:47. Again, the match is terrible, and I thought K-Crush looked pretty good, and I think he'd be a good. I think he's a guy they're going to look at down the line as a solid heel. But again, another match that I think we could have done with the heel winning. I think Brian Christopher winning meant no sense. We go. Is this where we go? I don't know if you have it in your notes, Steve. Is this when we go backstage and Goldilocks is interviewing Apollo? Because that match is next, but I don't think it was right before this match. Right before the match. I'm trying to think. No.
So you're skipping the great lingerie battle royal.
Yeah. No, I'm not. I'm not skipping it. I'm trying to think because I know they go backstage. I don't have on my notes here. Goldilocks.
I think it was then Goldie doing the interview before the match.
Oh, it was before. Okay. All right. That's what I was thinking. All right. Thank you, Nate. So before we do that, before that, we have the lingerie battle royal, and this was to show off, obviously, the eye candy. That
TNA.
TNA's eye. Yeah, TNA in TNA. Your participants. It was all the girls that we saw in the first show. Elektra, Aaron, of course, Francine, Joni. Alexis Lurie, we all know who she is. Sasha, no, not that Sasha, Steve. Shannon, Tyler, and Taylor Vaughn. I have no idea who half of these girls were. I really did. Half of them probably worked in the same place where these girls in the cages probably worked. By the way, Goldilocks I always thought was kind of hot, so I thought she should have done more, but they needed a backstage person anyway. So the whole thing was they all came in wearing satin or silk pajamas, like regular pajamas. And if you got your pajamas ripped off, you were eliminated. Nate just can't keep a straight face during any of this.
They were all barefoot.
And they were all barefoot.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a tribute, homage to Kevin Von Erich.
Yes! Who, by the way, didn't start his career in boots. He eventually started his career in feet, with bare feet. He eventually thought it was more comfortable to be in bare feet. But obviously, yes, honoring the great Kevin. They're all barefoot. Obviously, I guess based on the first week, we all kind of thought that Francine was probably the favorite because she was the most known of the bunch. She ended up not being the last one eliminated, but she would be eliminated, and Taylor Vaughn would win. And how long was this? 4:41. When I first looked at her,
what? I thought that was longer.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
It felt a lot longer.
It did feel
very
a lot longer.
Uncomfortable.
Yeah, very uncomfortable.
It was kind of gross, actually.
Yeah, and Francine, I mean, let's be honest. She was probably hot for ECW standards, but put her in, like, the real world, and because she belongs in rehab. She just didn't fit in with the rest of this bunch. Taylor Vaughn, incidentally, she looked like, at first I thought she was BB. Remember, or Barbara Bush? Remember the hot, large-chested ambulance driver from late 99, early 2000 in WWE? She looked like that at first, but I don't think it was her.
Yeah, it was.
It was her, right? Okay, I'm not crazy. Yeah. I thought it was her. So it was BB. Okay, we were thinking about that, and it was BB. Okay. Good. Thank you, Nate. I feel even better now. I kind of had a feeling it was her. Did you expect this result, Nate? I mean, I was expecting either Francine or maybe Alexis to win. But BB? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what they were going for. My main thought during this, though, was this is an example of misusing talent because, like you said, Francine might not have been the most attractive woman in this matchup, but Francine's a hell of a manager. And there was a spot for her on this card, and this was not the spot. Same with Mickie James. Like, Mickie James should be doing something else on this show than this lingerie battle royal. So other than the Ed Ferrara interaction, which was completely unnecessary as those dreadlocks.
No, that was just Ed Ferrara copping a feel. It was just him. That was Ed Ferrara going into perverted business for himself. That's pretty much all that was. It
was unnecessary as those dreadlocks were.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, I mean, this was a nothing segment, but you could have found a better spot for Francine and Mickie James,
and Shannon too. A Daphne who was a good second. It was gross, right? Like that whole part with Ferrara. We don't even really have to. Basically, Francine ended up whipping Ed Ferrara after the match. I don't think we really need to get into why that was happening.
No, I'm telling you, he went into business for himself. If anybody wants to watch it, find it. Watch it, and I'm not even giving Ed Ferrara justice here, or giving him any plug. What he did was deplorable, actually, to be honest with you. And I think he did it. I think he went into business for himself.
Francine did get her comeuppance, so #feminism.
Yep. And we had Me Too proven to us right in front of your eyes.
Ed Ferrara then no-sold it the rest of the show.
Yeah, no, he
By
did.
the time the segment was over, he was back confined, even though he had just been whipped with a belt for about 20, 30 times.
Well, because he realized he fucked up, I think. So Taylor Vaughn wins. There was no belt or anything. There was no knockouts, or we weren't at that level yet, but she does win the lingerie battle royal. All right, then we go backstage, and Goldilocks is interviewing Apollo when she gets interrupted by Bobcat and her guy, David Young, and then they go in the whole thing. And that leads us to our next match, which is Apollo and David Young. David Young was an indie guy and bounced around, and Apollo had that look. Like, if all the guys that were in TNA at this moment, Apollo was the guy you would have thought they were going to strap the rocket ship to. He had the look, but frankly, charisma-wise, he was severely lacking.
Yes.
I don't think this match was that bad.
You could make the argument it was the best match we've seen so far.
Yeah, no, that's... The bar is kind of low, and we're not talking Cesaro and Sheamus either. Now, was this the match where Ryan Shamrock, or whatever the hell her name was at this point, Ryan comes out and was that this match, Steve?
That might have been the Christopher match.
I think it was a Christopher match. Yeah. We failed to mention that when I don't know what her name was. I'm trying to remember. I don't have it down on my notes here. Yeah, it was Alicia. Her real name, actually. Ryan Shamrock took money from. She shook Borash down for milk money. So that was kind of. I still trying to figure out what that's about. Bobcat. Now I don't know who she is. I'd never seen her before. Was she
the former Mrs. Al Snow?
Ah, okay. She comes out in this frilly little slut outfit with David Young, and she's shamelessly flirting with Borash. Maybe she liked the frosted tips. I don't know. Steve, I could see you having frosted tips.
Wow.
Nah, probably not. Frosted tips in
I'll respond to that.
Frosted tips in Wisconsin? Nah. Yeah, that'd make you you'd be Wisconsin 52 immediately. Nah.
Well, it is Wisconsin, so we're probably about to get the Frosted Tips fad finally.
Yeah. Now, she's too busy shamelessly flirting for Ash. Why? Who knows? Apollo gets the win. The match time is 5:26. What'd you think of Apollo, Steve? He had the look. My opinion is he had the look, but you could clearly tell, like, in terms of the charisma part, he was in lights.
Right. He seemed pretty young, and I think he had was working in Puerto Rico quite a bit. I thought it was weird because they really put him over during the Rumble match from the first episode. He was throwing out a lot of guys. He lasted a very long time, and then he basically sold for David Young this whole match. And David Young had a little bit of a career in TNA. I think he was in Ring of Honor for a little bit too, but especially here, he was kind of over and like paunchy. Like
right,
he looked like a jobber at this point in his career.
Yeah,
you would think that Apollo would just be destroying him, but it was really just a point to get Bobcat over, I feel.
Yeah, what do you think, Nate? First off, before we talk about David Young and Bobcat, did Apollo have that look to you? I mean, he was obviously in good shape, but I just felt like he was, when it came to charisma, he didn't know how to, I don't know, execute it, you know?
To me, Apollo is Batista if he never got to work with Ric Flair or Triple H.
Okay.
You know, he's kind of like Batista when he was in the Deacon phase. Like, you could tell something was there, but he needed that extra step. And unfortunately, I don't think Apollo ever took that step.
No, I don't think he had anybody to help him take that extra step, too, you know? Now, after the match, Bobcat, which, again, Apollo wins, and Bobcat gets in the ring and cheers and celebrates as if it made no sense. The whole segment made no sense at all. It seemed very random. And I have to say, after a pretty decent first show, this one certainly was cleaning the bowl very quickly.
Yes.
It was definitely...
It was a tale of two halves.
Yeah. No, it was definitely a tale of two halves. But this episode so far was not nearly as good, obviously, as the first one was so far. However, these last two matches actually helped the job done, because Mike Tenay announces during the show with Ferrara and Don West that next week on our third episode, there will be a tournament to crown new NWA World Tag Team Champions. So TNA obviously trying to fill the champions out. We already have Ken Shamrock as the world champion. We will have an X Division champion shortly and a tag team champion next week. Speaking of tag teams, coming to the ring, the match was originally supposed to be the Rainbow Express, which was supposed to be Lodi and Lenny Lane, of course, the former West Hollywood Blondes in WCW. But Lodi apparently injured his knee. I think it was his knee. And Lenny Lane is Lodi is replaced by Bruce. So it's Lenny Lane and Bruce, and they are the Rainbow Express. You can obviously imagine what they are. They have these pretty sweet tights with rainbows on them. Pretty cool. They're supposed to wrestle the Dups, or the Dupe. I think it's the Dups. Well, in the second most politically incorrect moment of the evening, behind the K-Crush Hermie Sadler nonsense, the Dups say they're not wrestling those guys and their alternative lifestyle. Steve, I could see you. I could just imagine you cringing while watching this segment.
Yeah, with Joel Gertner, voice of reasoning for the alternative lifestyle.
It's kind of sad. Yeah, exactly. And by the way, Joel Gertner, another one of those guys that was better looking when he was fat. He looked like misshapen and odd right here. He should, and maybe he should have just wore the neck brace for vanity's sake. I don't know, but yes, he came out and he cut another one of his weirdo monologues.
But it was actually like once he got into it, it was like, yeah, Joel Gertner, I feel you. You're
right.
Completely misogynistic in ECW, but here you're like, hey, they're living the alternative lifestyle, but if they get the business done in the ring, and they're probably living better lives than you, Huntsville, Alabama. I see.
It's a bad, crazy segment when Joel Gertner is the voice of reason.
Yeah, when Joel Gertner's making sense, you know that you should probably just shut the show off. But anyway, out comes Bruce and Lenny Lane, the Rainbow Express. The Dups want nothing to do with these strange people. So, walks in.
Just so happens.
I know.
Showing up extremely late.
Yes. In comes James Storm, who the previous week lost with Psychosis, a tag match, the Johnsons. So when you lose your opening match in the company to two guys that are anyway, I think that's the name you leave in hotel, Steve. Rod Johnson.
It is. That's actually our senator from Wisconsin.
That's right.
Oh, it's Ron Johnson. Sorry.
It's Ron Johnson, who, by the way, used to play. Did he play for the Falcons? Anyway, so James Storm lost the tag match to the Johnsons with Psychosis last week, and Chris Harris, who was in Chris Harris is actually in the Battle Royal, to crown who the first two guys, the last two would be in the title match were. Well, they walk in. I think they had shirts on. They might not have actually. I think they just walked in with jeans and no shirts on, because that's how they roll in the South. So they're told to just drop their gear, go out there and wrestle in jeans, and take on the Rainbow Express. Okay. So out they come, and in what was actually a pretty decent match, Chris Harris and James Storm win. The match is 4-7. I thought it was longer, actually. And guys, I think we're onto something. Don't you agree, Steve?
Yeah, actually, as you're mentioning the match times, it's interesting. All of them ended up being right at 5 minutes. It's
yeah.
It's pretty good them keeping on time for this 2-hour time frame that they have.
Yep.
I did like this match. Kind of like they're tagging in by kissing each other's hands, or I thought that was a nice little touch.
I don't think the Dubs would have allowed that. I don't think the Dubs would have kissed each other.
And Lenny's Tiger Tamer as the throwback to his days impersonating Chris Jericho.
That's right.
I like that as well. And the four of these guys worked pretty good. I could do without the former Kiwi. I think that's who you said that Bruce was.
Yes, Bruce is Kiwi. Yep.
He's not. His head's not looking good. He needs to.
I know. He's looking very It was looking very skulletish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now that's a fad that just went away in Wisconsin last year.
Frosted tip skullets.
Yeah. I like the match. The commentary was worse than the lingerie battle royal. All of a sudden, Don West turned into this raging homophobic, even though he's supposed to be the face announcer. And Ed Ferrara is like, as Joel Gertner was kind of the defender of alternative styles, and we're using that because they used it like 7 times in this match.
Yes,
but Ferrara was more like the voice of kink. Like he was like, yeah, it's okay they do that stuff, and it has just a very, very bizarre,
awkward
commentary. Yeah, it's awkward, and the stuff that Lenny and Bruce were doing really wasn't that risque by any means.
Mm-hmm. No, not at all. And they're good wrestlers.
Yeah, like they did the subtle wink, wink, Jim Ross route of these guys are playing mind games.
Mm-mm.
No. James Storm looks so weird with the short hair. It's almost like you didn't recognize him,
Right.
Very, very strange. Of course, we know. We'll talk about it when they're officially named. We all know who Chris Harris and James Storm will eventually become, and it's actually one of my 10 favorite tag teams of all time. But we'll get there.
Walker. Oh
God,
here comes Braden Walker, right?
Yeah, by the time he got to, he looked like Cheex. So yeah, that was rough. So big win for these guys. That the whole storyline was they got slapped together, thrown in, and actually beat the Rainbow Express. But both of these teams will probably be involved in the big tag title tournament that will begin next week. Now to our main event, where we will crown an inaugural TNA X Division champion. Your participants, it is a 4-way double elimination match. We're already beginning the strange TNA ways of doing matches. Jerry Lynn, Psychosis, Styles, and Loki. Of course, you saw most of them last week when they were in the six-man tag with the Flying Elvises. And, right, is that what were they called, the Flying Elvises? No. Right.
Yeah, Flying Elvises.
Jorge Estrada, Sonny Siaki, and Jimmy Wang Yang.
Jimmy Wang Yang. And three of these guys were in that match and lost to the Flying Elvises, but the Flying Elvises were not in this match. And Mike Tenay made a point to that. So those guys were valid point. Very valid point. So this is pretty much a fatal four-way with double pins. In other words, three guys have to be pinned twice. And the guy left standing will be the inaugural X Division champion.
And honestly, Scotty, like it sounds confusing. I think the way that they pulled it off and they executed it, it actually worked pretty well.
I thought so too. Right, Steve?
What was that? I'm sorry. I'm trying to look up stuff about this match.
Oh, I thought you were looking up stuff. Really? Braden Walker looked like Cheex?
I was showing the Cheex.
The Cheex wormhole.
He hasn't crawled out of the Cheex wormhole yet. I think Bobcat crawled out of the Cheex wormhole.
The match, Steve, it sounds complicated, but I think they actually pulled it off well, and you can easily understand it.
Yeah, at first when they first started, when they announced what it was and they kept calling it a round robin tournament, that was really confusing to me. Like, how are they going to pull this off? But once they realized that, hey, this is just double elimination, and there's just two guys in the ring and the other two are sitting outside. I thought it was really original. Yeah, it's something I hadn't seen before, and it's like, hey, they were actually burying themselves in week one, saying about how the Battle Royal to determine the champion is a horrible idea, but it sounds like with next episode being a regular tag team tournament, I'm assuming based on what they're saying, I thought it was three kind of original names to determine champions as opposed to, hey, let's just do 3 episodes with 4-man tournaments or 8-man tournaments.
Right.
Just mixing it up a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I think it worked out well. So AJ gets the first 2 pins. He pins Psychosis in 159, and then Low-Key in 420. Then Lynn hits the what's that finisher he has? What did he hit? The
cradle pile driver.
He hit the cradle pile driver, right? That's what I thought. In 442, and he gets the first pin. Then he eliminates Psychosis at 742. Then he eliminates Low-Key, or pins Low-Key the second time at 1201. So 12 minutes in, and we're down to the last 2 guys, and this was the perfectly booked way to do it, Jerry Lynn and AJ Styles. And they go solo for the next 13 minutes and 53 seconds.
Yep.
And it was utterly fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
And probably saved this show. Because I think, I'll be honest with you guys, if I'm watching this pay-per-view back then, leading up into this match, I'd have been like, fuck this, I ain't spending $10 again. Because this is a disaster. This show, this match, you could argue, this match might have been the first saver for TNA. Because, again, I'm sorry, had the show ended with the Harrison Storm match, I'd have been like, oh, this is nice, I ain't even paying for this crap again. This final match, I think, saved them early on. Because I think this second show was circling the bowl very quickly. And I think this match saved it. So they battle for the next 13 minutes. At 16:03, AJ gets first pin on Lynn, and then Lynn goes off. I mean, he hits like 6 or 7 straight moves that would be a finisher. It reminded me a lot, actually, of Savage Steamboat at WrestleMania 3. Just like move after move that could easily be anybody's finisher, and AJ kept kicking out and kicking out and kicking out. Finally, he hits the I think he hit the Styles Clash a couple of times. Hits the Styles Clash, and
he did a spiral tap off the top rope that Spitting sent on.
I think he did one Styles Clash for the first pin.
Yep.
And he hits the Suntown off the top, and AJ Styles is your inaugural X Division champion, which I think was a genius move.
Yep.
How smart was it? I think the other thing, and I want your obviously I want both of your guys' thoughts. You first, Nate. I thought it was genius to have Jerry Lynn in this match because I think Key, Psychosis, and AJ, were 3 qualified guys, but all guys were young. I did the math. I think AJ was 25 when he did this match.
Yeah.
having Jerry Lynn in it, I think, solidified the match and even more than AJ winning. You think?
Yeah, Jerry Lynn has been the unsung hero of the X Division in its early years. He was the veteran. He was the guy that had all those wars in ECW, and he brought a lot of credibility to the X Division. So I thought he played his part perfectly, got the cradle pile driver over as a legit finish, and the finishing sequence with him and AJ was great, and I always love when AJ has to go to the spiral tap, because it's one of those moves that feels like it's his super finisher. Like the Styles Clash won't work, so I got to go to the extreme level and go to my spiral tap. And I thought it was a good match. I won't go as far as to say this put AJ on the map, but it certainly turned some heads, I think.
I think it too. And incidentally, according to this, it says Ricky Steamboat, who of course was the guest referee for the main event last week with Shamrock and Malice. Oh, by the way, earlier in the show, I just realized I failed to mention this. Out your champion, Ken Shamrock. And then followed by James Mitchell, who brought out another member of his disciples of the new church. But that was a red herring because Malice came through the crowd and attacked Shamrock. So next week, in episode 3, Ken Shamrock will defend the NWA Championship against Malice. I wanted to point that out. I just had that on my notes and it missed my eyes. So I agree that so Steamboat was the guest referee for that match, and he was actually the guest referee. It says for the final fall, so he must have come out for the last fall. I don't know if he was the ref for the whole match.
No, he came out for the last fall with Lynn and Styles, and I think adding Ricky Steamboat plus the confetti fireworks, like it made it feel like a big deal, which is something I think a lot of companies miss on when they crown a new champion.
Yeah, I agree. And it particularly solidified the belt, Steve, because I think it made them realize, like the Continental Championship in the 80s, this was going to be the athletic belt with the athletic challengers. And you knew that the matches were most likely going to be very good every time they went out there.
Yeah, I firmly believe that they made a bigger dust than they did the actual NWA title match. Mm-hmm. They were really putting over the match and said several times this is one of the most exciting matches they've ever seen. And with the fireworks and the confetti and such, it just seemed more important than the random Royal Rumble with Ken Shamrock and Malice. You had AJ and Loki weren't household names yet, but you had the Psychosis, the left, not I wouldn't say call Psychosis a left, but one of the stalwarts of the WCW Cruiserweight era. You had Jerry Lynn, bringing in the ECW fans, and AJ and Loki were really starting their careers on a more national level at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it is kind of a really smart pick of the 4 people that they had in the match, and it did seem like a big deal because they were putting it over as a big deal, as opposed to everything else that they were putting over as, I don't know, like the connotation of Vince Russo's id.
Exactly. Don't use those big words, Steve. I never thought Vince Russo and id would be in the same sentence. Yeah. So there you go. So AJ Styles is your inaugural X Division champion, and there we are. So looking ahead next week on not next week on main event, but the next pay-per-view, we will have a tournament to determine new NWA Tag Team Champions, and Shamrock will defend the NWA title against Malice. Yeah. So top to bottom,
don't forget Scott Hall and Brian Christopher versus Jarrett and K. Crutch.
Yes, they put those 2 shit matches together to make one shit match. So there you go. And guys, just as good as Cheex, making he showed up in the first episode. We didn't see him in this episode. Puppet makes his debut. Jordan Duncan's favorite TNA wrestler of all time. Let's sure see any oatmeal in the trash can. So overall, guys,
Puppet, I can get behind that.
So this episode, not as good as the first one. Saved by the last 2 matches.
Yes.
And it is evident that AJ Styles is somebody they're going to strap the rocket ship to.
Yeah, AJ is not what he would eventually go on to be. Like, I think he hit his stride maybe a year or 2 later. Mm-hmm. But you could see, like, the the greatness was there. He just needed to, again, like Apollo, to take. And fortunately for us, he did.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Steve, what do you think overall for the show?
Oh, overall, I had talked to you guys before we went on yesterday about how I made the giant mistake of watching the second hour before the first. And
yes,
it's the end of the first. After watching the second, I was like, yeah, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And then going back the other direction, I was like, man, I really screwed myself over on that. If I was watching the first hour,
right,
in regular order, it would have been a lot better show, I think.
Right.
Yeah. If someone at home is trying and following along with us, first of all, like, what are you doing?
You belong in Dr. Shelby's office.
Keep it 2000 with Nate here. I could see you doing that, but come on.
We're hoping.
If you want to do that, just watch the last two matches. Don't watch the first 3 or 4. Just please don't.
No, it's trash. It's actual trash. All right, guys, great job. A lot of fun. I can't believe Chad missed this. Speaking of Chad, I can't believe Aaron would have eaten this up. Speaking of Chad, he will be with us in 2 weeks. Gentlemen, it is time to reveal,
yes,
Mr. Milton, our third New Japan Pro Wrestling Classic match pick. And on our next episode, we will talk about it. So, Godfather, the floor is yours. What is our next New Japan Classic match pick?
Yes, guys, our next classic match takes place on March 28th of 2004. It is for the IWGP title, and it features Kensuke Sasaki versus The Beast. No, not Brock Lesnar. No, not Dan Severn. But Bob Sapp. Kensuke Sasaki versus Bob Sapp for the IWGP title in 2004. That's my pick.
Chad's like, why couldn't I go next? This is awesome. All right, gentlemen. So, fans, you've got 2 weeks. I believe that the match is not on. This is where we're going outside the box here. This match is not on the New Japan World app. It is. I don't even think it's on YouTube. It's on Daily Motion.
Yep.
So look it up.
Check it out.
Yep, check it out. And we'll be back in 2 weeks, episode 94. We will talk. We'll talk WWE. We'll talk some Rumble Fallout.
McKinley episode.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. That's excellent. And we'll find some more. Well, my 94 when we open the show, because I have a big 94, because I have a 94 hanging in my closet. We will talk about Rumble Fallout. We'll look ahead, obviously, to Elimination Chamber. And we talked about that pay-per-view a little bit on the first. And then us three gentlemen will be joined by Mr. Chad Campbell, and we will talk about Nate's classic match pick. So, for Steve Wille, for Nate Milton, the Godfather, I am Scott Criscolo. You've been in the main event. Enjoy Philadelphia. We'll be around. And Cheex could be one of the surprise entrants in the Women's Royal Rumble. Cheex and Nia Jax, no, have a good 2 weeks. Or maybe not.